Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Yes, yes, yes. On a day like today, filled with a lot of different feelings. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Great job from the guys, Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross. As always, Anthony as well doing a great job with Chris Verlade out. We have Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass for us today, and he always does a great job. As we try to really get into our feelings today, De'Aaron Fox, it's over now. It's over. De'Aaron Fox, nearly 8 years with the Sacramento Kings. There were some rough times. There were some good times. And we can look at all of those throughout the next 4 hours. Zach LaVine now makes his way into Sacramento. People are calling them the Sacramento Bulls. Is that what they are? We saw how that ended. And the issue is, this ain't the Eastern Conference. So the play falling into a play-in or playoff spot in the West is not going to happen. Did the Kings absolutely botch this situation? The he say, she say soap opera of Clutch Sports versus Monty McNair, Wes Wilcox, Vivek, the ownership. Who said what? Who started what? Where does blame go? The snake emojis that people keep putting on the YouTube, the sack chat as far as Wes is concerned. Whose fault is it? Does it matter anymore? It's over. Maybe it does matter. 916-339-1140. And we're going to continue the conversation that Jason and Carmichael Dave had. Phone lines are open all day long. We do have, number one, we have giveaways for the Magic game on Wednesday. That's one every hour, I believe. So we have that going on. Some Monday mayhem. We also have a star-studded cast of guests from Jason Anderson, who is on location with the Kings. If anybody knows how the Kings are feeling right now, it's Jason Anderson. He is in Minnesota. He just posted that. He is in Minnesota. Jason Anderson, he's put out a couple different pieces over the weekend and today. So that's at 11 o'clock, all right? First time we're having Jason on the show, by the way. That's why this thing is fully loaded. At 12 o'clock, we have Brendan Nunez, all right? 12 to 12:30. 12:30, we have Jeff Garcia, Locked on Spurs, CBS 5, San Antonio, to get the Spurs side of things. How did the Spurs make out like bandits in this way? How did the Kings, and I keep calling this thing an Instagram trade because it looks really good on paper. You have Shams, who he doesn't necessarily mention the protections from the Charlotte pick, things like that. Maybe that's not his job, right? He just says, hey, this is the information I've been given, but you start to peel back the layers. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the trade, the future for the Sacramento Kings, the present for the Sacramento Kings, they got a game tonight. Anthony Edwards, last I checked, he was dealing with some type of illness or something going around, by the way. Keep your vitamin C up. So we'll see if Anthony Edwards plays tonight. My guess is that they can still smell blood in the water because Zach LaVine will not be playing tonight. So you have this interim team. Now, let's not forget the Pacers, when they made that move for Pascal Siakam, they won a game also without Tyrese Halliburton. You know who that was against? The Sacramento Kings. And it was on the road as well. So it can be done. And it has to be done because the Kings, based on this package that they got back, they're still trying to win. This is the real retool package that we talked about. I had information on Friday about the Kings trying to get two pieces. The playmaker piece to replace De'Aaron Fox and the wing that they've been looking for a very long time. They've done one of those things with Zach LaVine. They're still looking for that second piece. The details and the kind of nerd conversation of the TPE and MLE and all the E's, we'll get into all that. But when you're grading this Kings team and the trade, it's an INC. It's an incomplete. We can't give them a grade yet until we know that they are done. And the reports are Sean Cunningham, who we may have on today, possibly tomorrow, as far as the Kings still aggressively looking to add that second piece. They are trying to retool. Are they just prolonging the inevitable? Should they just say uncle and start the rebuild? Maybe the answer is hell no, because that's not what we do. We know how the owner feels. We will play second fiddle to no one. De'Aaron Fox says he wants to go to the Spurs, kind of mess up the leverage there. You know what, De'Aaron? Thank you. That's how they're approaching it. But how are you approaching it? 916-339-1140. We take a look at De'Aaron Fox and how he will be remembered. We take a look at how we got here. We take a look at the immediate future. We take a look at how the trade looks. How can the Kings still win this situation? And of course, we will get to De'Aaron Fox's statement on everything. But De'Aaron Fox and what he did for this Sacramento Kings organization, was it perfect? No. It was absolutely not perfect. But De'Aaron Fox gave all he had to this organization. And I can say personally that I hope everybody wishes him the best. I wish him the best. One-time All-Star, 2023 Clutch Player of the Year. He's fourth all-time in points, fourth all-time in assists, second all-time in steals, fourth all-time in threes. In these situations, you want to hit on guys, right? You have a top 10 pick. You got to hit on these guys. I can say that even though the Sacramento Kings, they didn't leave with the championship, they didn't leave with the years of the deep playoff runs, I would still call the De'Aaron Fox pick a hit. And that's all you can really ask for. Now, how everything ended, kind of unceremoniously, especially when you get Luka Doncic traded to the Lakers, you get upstaged when you trade your franchise player. This is the most Sacramento thing ever, right? You don't even get your time in the sun. I looked at the ticker on ESPN. I don't even know if they showed a breaking news ticker. If they did, it wasn't for long. Last night, I finally get around to it after, and thank you for everybody who hopped on the stream yesterday, last night, and checking me out on KCRA as well. But I finally get around to turn it on the TV, and it's just a footnote that's kind of apropos to the Sacramento Kings. Now, two groups can have chips on their shoulders. De'Aaron Fox can have a chip on his shoulder to say, you know what, you didn't want to build around me, so I'm going to do what I got to do in San Antonio. You know, the rumors and the rumblings about De'Aaron building a house in San Antonio. I believe his wife may be from that area. So you have that going on. Are we getting played by Clutch? The semantics and how the front office looks bad. Well, the bottom line is, in these situations, everybody has a little bit of blood on their hands. It's not only the front office, it's not only De'Aaron Fox. And from everything that I've heard, all of the different rumors in the soap opera, everybody has some responsibility. So you have all of that going on. De'Aaron can say he's got a chip on his shoulder to prove that he can be a number 2 to Victor Wembanyama. Maybe he ends up being a number 3. I don't know. We will see. Then you get a Zach LaVine, who's been disrespected based on his price tag over and over again. So what has he done? He's transformed his body. He's only missed 8 games this season. He's shooting the 3 ball at one of the highest percentages of his career. He's back to averaging 24 a game. And they still ship him off to Sacramento. You know, I saw buddies of mine talking about, man, LaVine got to go from Chicago to Sacramento. That's tough. So he has been cast out. And Zach LaVine can have a chip on his shoulder. So who will come out on top in this situation? The easy answer is it's the dude with the alien. But the Sacramento Kings, they made a decision. In a lot of these situations, when you trade a star, you are trading for your future. They decided not to. They decided to trade for their present. this can look very bad for the Kings. The grade right now is an incomplete. We will see how this thing completes before the deadline on Thursday. Coming up next, let's get into the details of the trade. We talk about what the Kings were able to get, what the Kings weren't able to get, and we open up the phone lines because we have so many guests today. We want to make sure that we hear from you, the voice of Sacramento. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
On the move.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
What's that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
Please, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be
Reeling in the refund.
limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
I made mistakes. Point blank range, and Costa Kukas is there for the rebound. Gives to Fox. Fox quickly across the midcourt line. Accelerates down the left. Moves to the right. He scores a big drive down the left side of the lane. And the Kings fans, many of them, just popped right out of their seats at the explosiveness of the rookie.
I got to get my first NBA game out the way, and I think it went well. We played hard. It didn't go the way we wanted it to. We wanted to get the W, but it's a lot of learning lessons. It's a lot of things we learned out of today.
Home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
How is everyone feeling out there? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Look, this thing kind of got upstaged. I know what happened after, but this thing got upstaged by what happened with the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Lakers, right? And a lot of people continue to talk about what you could have got back for De'Aaron Fox and what the Kings were able to and weren't able to get back for De'Aaron Fox. They're protesting. And I think this is what makes and it's great for content and great for radio, I must say, but this is what makes the De'Aaron Fox tenure so interesting, right? There is no feeling. I don't think anybody feels like the Mavericks won the deal. Even if the Mavericks are technically better right now, you can make that if somebody wants to make that argument. I think I saw Kendrick Perkins. If somebody wants to make that argument, they could. That's fine. But the future is what we're talking about as far as the Dallas Mavericks. And you have Luka and what he's done as far as all NBA and what the future looks like for Luka. Turns out there was a lot of different conversations being had about the crying and the whining and his weight and how much he wanted to put into his game. And that's all fine and good. But with De'Aaron Fox, and I've compared him to a certain other people and players and athletes as far as the Brock Purdy's of the world, and not to say that I'm comparing them as actual talents, right? But the question with De'Aaron Fox is he that guy? And the Kings got put into a situation where you have two guys that are probably both number twos. You can't really have two Robins on a team. And De'Aaron Fox is probably going to be a really elite Robin. Or maybe he's even a Spider-Man in a Marvel, a number 3 for the Spurs when it's all said and done. Since Stephon Castle, by the way, is going to be a Hall of Famer according to Spurs fans. But you had a situation with the Kings where you essentially had two Robins. Domantas Sabonis is a really good Robin. You didn't have a Batman on the Kings. And that's the reality of the situation. So when De'Aaron was asking for help, you can have two Robins if you have really good number threes, and the Kings didn't have that, right? And dare I say, if Keegan Murray was maybe doing what Trey Murphy is doing right now for the Pelicans, maybe it works out. If DeMar DeRozan is 3 years younger, maybe it works out. If you had an actual bench and you're not leaning on a Keon Ellis, second year in the league, maybe it works out. But there was too much, and somebody on the text line, 916-339-1140, you want to be a part of the conversation. Someone on the text line basically said OKC, and I think OKC was already cooked, but somebody saying OKC showed there was a gap from the 925. Shout out to 925. This is what we needed. A wing wasn't enough. And that was always going to be the question. How many times on this show did we ask, is John Collins enough? Some days it would feel like yes. Some days it would feel like no. The Mike Brown era felt like no. Right after, when you moved to Doug Christie, it felt like yes. But ultimately enough to get to the second round? I mean, let's be honest here. We were running around hoping to get to the second round. Who does that? Who sets that as a goal? We're hoping to get to the second round to keep De'Aaron? Who does that?
Me. I would do that.
We all did it. But this is a bigger picture. Now, look, the reason it's interesting to me is because you didn't hit the reset. You decided to try to retool. And we can go over the teams. Who is a team who retooled and it worked? We talked about OKC when they were able to get Paul George, right? They made a couple playoff runs. Was the West as strong as it is now? You can make that argument that it wasn't. That's fine. But was that a successful retool? Kind of. I mean, you kept butts in the seats, right? You ended up moving off of Paul George, and you end up getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and now look at OKC, primed to make a championship run. That, to me, was a successful retool. Now, within that retool, you move off of Russell Westbrook, and you fully rebuild. But even still, you bring Shai in. You had CP3, and CP3 elevates teams. So OKC they were never the Hornets. They were never the Jazz. Now, the other question is, well, Allen, how many teams have been able to do that? And that's fair. But this could work out if the Kings play correctly. Will it be Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox as far as who's going to help this thing get to the finish line? Probably not. Probably not. Maybe, but probably not. Let's go through what the deal actually is, okay? Spurs get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings get Zach LaVine, CD Sissoko, 3 first-round picks, which, again, sounds great, from Charlotte in 2025, the Spurs in 2027, and Minnesota in 2031. 3 second-round picks as well. And the Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and they get their own 2025 pick back from San Antonio. So the Kings, they don't get Stephon Castle. They don't get Devin Vassell. They don't get Keldon Johnson. They don't get Jeremy Sohan, who I convinced myself. I went from not wanting Jeremy Sohan to seeing he's 21 and very much so wanting Jeremy Sohan.
I wanted the purple haircut. That was what I was hoping for. Even if he didn't have a long-term future, I just wanted Sohan.
So they get none of that. They get none of that. And the hope is now, as we start to give out these grades, incomplete. Incomplete for the Kings. Let's open up the phone lines because, like I said, we have some guests that are going to be throughout the rest of the show, starting at 11 with Jason Anderson. So let's open up the phone lines, 916-339-1140. Let's go to Lewis, who wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Lewis? How you feeling? What you got for us?
Hey, yeah, you know what? I'm loving where we're at right now. I don't understand. To me, I'm looking at the numbers, right? LaVine, he's bigger than Fox. Fox, honestly, we bill him as a point guard, but the truth is he only averaged 5 assists a night, right? So no, he was a shooting guard, and now we got bigger at that position. Monk can still make the plays. Levine averages, I believe, a point more than Fox is this year, right? 25 versus 24. I love it. We catch the 3 first-round picks. We get the second-round picks off the piece. We get away from having to pay Fox his super-duper max deal that he refused. Congratulations to us. You know what I mean? We're winning in this thing, and we need to understand that. If anybody who thinks that us with Levine right now, Levine is averaging 25 a night. You're not still in the game? I'll tell y'all what. See you in the playoffs.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. Look, there's going to be a lot of callers today, this week, and some of you will look at this half empty. Some of you will look at this half full. As far as, and Lewis going in the half full direction, if Zach LaVine is going to continue to play at this clip, and you do go out with this money that you have, we're going to talk to Brendan Nunez about the flexibility that the Kings have. If you go get someone else, right, and Zach LaVine continues to play at this clip, and Malik Monk continues to ascend, I gave y'all the Malik Monk Brunson numbers. They are similar. Am I saying Malik Monk is going to explode like Jalen Brunson? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying anything is possible. I'm saying when the Knicks brought in Jalen Brunson, deep down, I don't know that any of us thought that Jalen Brunson was going to be this, right? We're going to play some sound at 10:45 when De'Aaron Fox gets drafted. And even as they're breaking down De'Aaron Fox, there is a name that they still find a way to bring up. You know who that name is? Malik Monk. So there is an optimistic way to look at this. I have no problem with the current pieces. My issue is you did nothing for the future, right? To get Zach LaVine, and again, Zach LaVine last season, basically the Bulls, and the Bulls really didn't make out either, but basically the Bulls and Zach LaVine is the opposite of the Wizards situation with Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma lost value. Zach LaVine gained value. Did the Bulls take advantage of that? Not really, right? Maybe a little bit, but not really. Because you could have had Zach LaVine last season. Nobody wanted Zach LaVine, but he starts balling out this season. And now all of a sudden, Warrior fans are in tears that they didn't get Zach LaVine. Now, again, that is to add him without losing a piece the same way the Kings had to give up De'Aaron Fox. But I feel Lewis on what he's saying. Phone lines are completely full. Actually, they are completely full. And we got to get to the other side when we do more of your calls. We talk about the new rotation. And before the hour is up, we got a giveaway to take care of with this Monday Madness. So you can be in the building for Zach LaVine's probable premiere to the team. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento, Zach LaVine, and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SactownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Folsom Lake Kia.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. It is Monday, getting out the door to a mild start to the day with cloudy skies, maybe a stray shower for the morning drive. Aside from that, most of your daylight hours will be dry. Next round of steady, heavy rain arrives after the sun goes down tonight. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Just like in basketball, you need the right team to win. And that's why I recommend Folsom Lake Kia. They got low payments that change the game. And you can always buy with 0 down with approved credit. Shop Folsom Lake Kia and tell them DC sent you.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card. Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729. Or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Plati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Fox working straight away against Galloway. Goes to the left angle, only 4 in the clock. Got to create, off-balance step back. Score the basket.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
This is from the one, the only De'Aaron Fox. Sacramento. I can't quite find the words to express what I want to say, but thank you. Coming in as a 19-year-old kid and leaving as a 27-year-old man, I'm grateful I got to spend the beginning of my young adulthood here. The love for the city is unmatched. To the fans, y'all deserve the best. I wanted to end my career here and never expected it would end this way, but I'll always be grateful for your support. Thank you for the love you've showed me and my family. Sacramento will always hold a special place in my heart. From Fox. That is what De'Aaron had to say, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty when this whole thing, and Kyle makes a good point, when this whole thing is official and he gets out there to San Antonio. I'm sure we will hear more from De'Aaron Fox, and it probably feels like writing that it's tough to put into words. So 30 minutes we'll hear from Jason Anderson, who is on location with the Sacramento Kings, and will help us break down how things felt after the OKC game and how the vibes are now. There was a shoot around that Jason posted about, so we will hear from Jason Anderson. The 916 says Brunson comps are a reach for Malik Monk. We've seen Monk in a starting role before, and he's inconsistent and inefficient. I don't care how many minutes he gets. Yeah, it's not a comp from a play style, obviously. It's just a comp of he'll be one of the guys now. He'll be the guy now, and they were averaging basically the same in their roles as the number two. And we'll see what happens, right? You look, again, you can look at this thing half full or half empty. The bottom line is De'Aaron Fox is gone, and I think it is easy to just be upset with the front office, and you're entitled to that, but it's also not really going to help anything, right? The most we can hope for, and I get it, you don't want to get your hearts broken, and everybody tells me in my, I've been covering the team for a couple years now, Allen, you're new to this, and it's going to get worse. Well, maybe it will, but we can address that when it happens. What's wrong with Malik Monk has done nothing but get better since he's been in Sacramento. Right? And when I pay attention to Malik Monk, when I watch him play, I purposely paid attention to the times where De'Aaron Fox isn't on the floor, right? When they're both on the floor, there's a gravity thing. Let me ask you a question. Let's say the Kings are playing, and they're playing Minnesota tonight, right? And Obviously, Zach LaVine's not going to be playing. But if Zach LaVine was playing, I would call Jaden McDaniels the Wolves' best defender for the dude. That's who they put on the dude. Would Jaden McDaniels be guarding Malik Monk or Zach LaVine? There's a good part of me that feels like he'd be guarding Zach LaVine. So Malik Monk, in that regard, would still get an opportunity to cook. Even if Jaden McDaniels guards Malik Monk, now you have Zach LaVine going. So when we go back to that Rockets game when Ahmed Thompson was just glued to De'Aaron Fox, maybe he's glued to Malik Monk, but you still give Zach LaVine an opportunity. So again, y'all know I never tell you how to fan. I would never do that. But you can be, and I get it, 8 years, the doom and gloom thing. I want to give everybody their time to mourn De'Aaron Fox, and you call on this, you call in, you want to mourn or you want to have a celebration of life and move forward. The floor is yours. I am just approaching how to look at this thing optimistic. We got 4 hours. I'm going to approach this thing optimistically. I'm going to approach this thing pessimistically. I'm going to approach this thing realistically. Those are the 3 options here.
Well, I think also we're in the nice position of the trade happened basically 18 hours ago. So everything about the deal has already been said, right? You said it last night. Everyone said their piece, right? The Kings got basically 70 cents on the dollar for what De'Aaron Fox is worth.
Yeah.
If they had waited until the offseason, maybe they would have only gotten 50 cents on the dollar.
Well, that's a great point, because that's when you say that, everybody says Kangs, right? But this is what happens. When De'Aaron opened his mouth and said, Spurs are bust, it was cooked.
No, I think that one was the Kings saw the writing on the wall, tried to make the trade, and then it became, well, the only team I'm going to re-sign with is the Spurs, which didn't necessarily make it they only had to do it. It just meant the Spurs were going to give them the best offer. And I think that's probably true at this point. This was the best the Sacramento Kings were going to do. I mean, I could make the argument, and it's how I feel, is that I would have rather taken a less trade package to keep De'Aaron Fox until the end of the season. However, that's not what the Kings did. Here we are today. And sure, maybe Malik Monk is going to be that guy going forward. The other thing I'll say to support your point is that, Sacramento may be the Kangs, but Malik Monk's been in some pretty bad situations before getting to Sacramento. He was in Charlotte, the only organization universally regarded as worse than the Kings, and the Lakers during that Russell Westbrook season. That was a catastrophe. So this is the first time he's been in a somewhat stable environment in the NBA, and certainly we've seen the success. But even if Malik isn't going to be that guy, the Kings are not a better team today than they were yesterday, but that was the situation they were dealt. Those are the cards they were dealt. And I think everyone kind of realized that, as Dave said last night, as they were learning the details of the trade. I think everyone agrees they're not as good today as they were yesterday.
And the other part of this is, if there is one player from what I've seen and what I've gathered, if there's one player that I want in this situation, it's Malik Monk. That dude is not going to back down from anybody, and he's going to see this as an opportunity. And this is not, I am not dancing on De'Aaron Fox's grave at all. But I was listening to the morning show. They said, what if De'Aaron comes in here and drops 50? You know what? He probably will. But that's been part of the problem with De'Aaron, because he can turn it on and turn it off. When Malik Monk goes to work, when he puts on his basketball shorts and his jersey, that dude is on from Jump Street. I'm not saying Malik Monk is better than De'Aaron Fox, but I'm saying I see 100% from Malik Monk more often. That team, and part of the leverage conversation, we got to get to these calls, part of the leverage conversation was that the team was sleepwalking. If they had shown any pulse, and that's why we're going to talk to Jason Anderson at 11, if they had shown any pulse against the Thunder, maybe the Kings feel like, okay, we can continue to see what happens here. You couldn't continue to put out that product. And part of that, you take on the personality of your coach and your best player. We can have a conversation about Domantas Sabonis. But we're going to do this thing here where De'Aaron Fox, we have to live in a world where De'Aaron Fox is a really, really good player. But that brother did not want to be a number one, okay? And night in, night out, you found yourself asking, I'll tell you this much, we don't have to hear about somebody make De'Aaron Fox angry. Malik Monk comes out angry. So I'm not dancing on graves, but this is the reality of the situation. And honestly, I feel like more people are more upset about what the Kings got back for De'Aaron than actually losing De'Aaron. 916-339-1140. Let's get to some of these phone calls because I know they're stacking up. Let's fire through them. Let's get to Angus. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Angus? What you got for us?
Hey, Allen. I mean, I feel like most of the morning was done last week when that news first broke out, but now like that I see the actual return. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that the return is good, but not great. Like I definitely wish we could have gotten an Atlanta pick or one of the unprotected picks that the Spurs have. But like I think for the front office, they see that Monk is a lead guard. They saw him emerge as his lead guard, and that it's better to put a good shooting guard with some size around him, which is Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is the best high volume, high efficiency 3-point shooter the Kings have had since Buddy healed.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Angus. I do have questions about Zach LaVine and Malik Monk's fit, just as far as the control. I'll have to watch more tape on Zach LaVine, but, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's get to Mark wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Mark? What you got for us?
Hey, just upset with the return. Yeah. I just feel like this is your biggest asset on your team. And I think for me, as soon as he signed with that agency, I'm skipping on the name right now, so I'm a little nervous. But for me, I knew he was gone, and so that was kind of the time to flip that asset, like some of these other teams have done. I mean, LaVine. I mean, it seems like the last couple of years, the Bulls have been trying to attach a pick to LaVine so he would take his contract. And I keep on hearing this. We got 3 first-round picks. No, we didn't get 3 first-round picks. We got 2 first-round picks. The Charlotte pick is going to be 2 seconds. In our 5 seconds, I mean, what was this? What does Amani do with these seconds? He usually trades them away. Like we don't use these picks, cash considerations. Take this player, we'll give you a second. I mean, I feel like this organization is just made for like it's almost like a source of entertainment.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Mark. And the return, and again, this is more about everybody is talking about the return, not the fact that they lost De'Aaron Fox. And I think that says something, right? And again, incomplete. They might not be done. Hopefully they're not done. The reports are that they're not done. That's from Sean Cunningham. Let's get to Jacob. Wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, Jacob? What you got for us?
How you guys doing today?
Man, we're surviving and thriving. What you got?
Good. Hey, I wanted to touch on the fact that you guys read that De'Aaron's post on Instagram of his goodbye, and it's just not sitting right with me.
Okay.
He's saying I wanted to end my career here and never expected it would end this way. Does he think we forgot that he rejected our extension, or Rich Paul and his agent fed info to the media to drive his price down to the lowest that it could? I mean, he literally said he wouldn't sign anywhere except for San Antonio.
Yeah. I mean, and thanks for the call, Jacob. It's a good point. I think the biggest thing here is we are reacting to what happened this season, right? And De'Aaron, from what I've gathered from different people that I've talked to, this was coming for a long time. So I think what is maybe a smidge, and I got to be careful here, a smidge disingenuous, is that the Kings could convince De'Aaron to stay this season. It feels like, and this is what multiple people reported. Like I said, I had a source tell me that that initial meeting, the writing was on the wall. That's what we kept hearing. He was letting the Kings down easy. So the most disingenuous thing I think I will take from this is that the Kings could have saved it this season. It feels like that's how the Fox camp is presenting this, but ultimately it was years of things that led up to this, and adding John Collins probably wasn't going to keep him. And a lot of this stuff will continue to come up. We see you, Chris, Casey, and the rest of the crew. We're going to try to get to you. We have some sound we want to get to. We're also going to do our giveaway as well. 916-339-1140, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Monday, May mayhem is back.
Today, we're giving away tickets to go watch the Sacramento Kings take on the Orlando Magic at the G1C.
Every single hour, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. all day today.
Listen 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with our live and local lineup
For a chance to win every hour at the top of the hour on the home of the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer-dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf, Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour, split into 16. Learn more at TGLGolf.com. Tune in every week for TGL matches. Keep up, it's golf.
In a world that moves a million miles a second, Haagen-Dazs invites you to slow down and savor every delicious bite. Take it one almond at a time with the Haagen-Dazs Vanilla Milk Chocolate Almond Bar. Madagascar vanilla, rich milk chocolate, and toasted California almonds make this unmatched icon legendary. Whatever Dazs you savor, a snack bar or your favorite flavor, say goodbye to the fast life and hello to savoring the finest ingredients and the richest and creamiest ice cream. That's Dazs, available at retailers nationwide.
Hey, what's up, Sacramento? It's Kyle Draper. Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and of course, mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Just go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
Hey, Sacramento, it's time to party. Join us for the ultimate big game watch party at Mix Downtown, hosted by Sacktown Sports on Sunday, February 9th. Feast on Mix's all-you-can-eat taco and nacho bar and big game bites while watching the biggest football game of the year. Catch all the action on Mix's large projection screens and HD TVs. Doors open at 2 p.m. Kickoff is at 3. Mix Downtown, located at 16th and L Streets in Sacramento. It's 21 and over, so bring your crew and let's make it a game day to remember. For details, visit mixdowntown.net. Discover unbeatable value at Folsom Buick GMC's President's Day sale. Enjoy a 20-year, 200,000-mile powertrain warranty for lasting peace of mind. Lease the 2025 GMC Sierra EV for just $859 per month. Limited stock available. Save up to $12,750 on the Sierra Denali. Offers end March 3rd, 2025. Visit Folsom Buick GMC, your EV headquarters for power, performance, and savings. Call now before these deals are gone.
Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Door, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family-owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their number one priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE, it's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Yeah, some people joking about whether or not the Kings will have a press conference. You know, that was one thing I really didn't spend a lot of time on this show because I don't know how much some fans care about it. Some fans didn't. That was something that I was told De'Aaron Fox did care about, and the fact that he had to answer questions about Mike Brown after the firing. Could that have kept De'Aaron Fox? Somebody on the Sack chat was saying extra Trek is saying, nonsense, Allen. If the Kings were winning the season from the jump and they made a roster move, Fox would have stayed. He said as much to Draymond. Kings management failed him. So extra, let's go back to your first statement. If the Kings were winning this season from the jump, well, who was on the floor? You got Uncle Keegan. You got De'Aaron Fox, who a lot people want to call him elite now because he's left Sacramento. You got Domantas Sabonis, who is on the MVP ladder, even though he's not an all-star. Malik Monk, again, Malik wasn't starting, so I get that. And you have DeMar DeRozan, who De'Aaron helped to recruit. So you kind of stepped on your own toes when you say the Kings are winning from the jump. And you had De'Aaron's coach that he wanted. So, again, this is not to dance on De'Aaron's grave. This is for me to say a blame pie and why De'Aaron is no longer here. Front office gets some of the blame, but De'Aaron gets some of that blame too. Because, again, I think that De'Aaron is going to go to San Antonio and be a number 2 and possibly even a number 3. I think that is very possible. The 916 is saying that the Kings or Kings fans are saying, oh, most KHTK folks included seem to not be knowledgeable about LaVine. The fact we got anything back above and beyond LaVine is amazing. If he stays healthy is the only question mark. Yeah, 916, that's a big question mark. And I don't know what you want us to say. I mean, the guy played 26 games. And, you know, I understand when people say, Kate, you're not just talking about me, but all we've done is say, hey, Zach LaVine's going to be really good as long as he stays healthy. You know, we're saying the same exact thing that you're saying.
And 1 year ago, the Bulls could not give away Zach LaVine.
So I don't know what you mean. Expand on that. Not be knowledgeable about LaVine. What are we missing? What, a couple-time All-Star? He's 30 or about to be 30, and he played 26 games last season, and they could not give him away. He's having a really good season. You know who else was having a really good season? Dennis Schroeder. And he doesn't even start for the Warriors, who they got him in to replace DeAnthony Melton. Okay, Dorian Finney-Smith is starting to find his way. That's the other part of this. This stuff, it might not happen immediately. So I don't know, you know, some people just like to say things. 916-339-1140. Let's go to Chris in Orangevale. What's up, Chris? What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Processing everything.
Yeah.
But I had a different point I was going to touch on, but I'll start kind of going off and piggybacking what that previous caller was saying, you know, about De'Aaron being disingenuous. I think, to be honest, I don't think you were around, Stiles, at that time, but the Beam team year at the trade deadline, everybody was expecting us to add, right? We were so sure that Monty was going to do something, right? And then we just continuously don't do anything, right? I think we added Kessler Edwards, right? And so to me, that's, I think, when De'Aaron lost faith, right? Because he saw the potential that we had, and all we really needed was one more little piece. And we didn't do it. So to that point, like you said, I think there's a big share of the blame pie. I think a lot of people want De'Aaron to be a number 1, to be that superstar, but he doesn't have it. I don't think he's a number 1. Not to say that he is not capable of making All NBA, but I don't think he's a true legit number 1 like you see those superstars. And to that point, right? I think getting LaVine back is a decent deal. I was more excited originally before I found out that Charlotte pick was going to convey to 2 seconds. At that point, I was like, we won the trade, right? Now reflecting a day later, I think I'm happy with it, but I think I won't be happy if we don't do something else. We got to package those picks, and we got to do something. I heard that LaVine. Can you correct me or not? Did LaVine waive his trade bonus?
He did. Yeah, he waived the trade kicker. Yeah.
Okay, I've been working like crazy this morning sitting here, but okay, cool. But well, let me know what you think, right? I think if we add somebody like a John Collins or a Cam Johnson, I think that this turns into a victory. If we don't do anything, then I think it's a loss. Let me know what you think.
That's exactly where I'm at, Chris, and thanks, Chris. Keep working hard. I know it's Monday, but keep working hard. That's exactly where I'm at, and that's why this is an incomplete right now. You know, this is an incomplete for the Sacramento Kings. Everyone keeps saying, oh, they have, and Bobby Marks, and, oh, they have all this flexibility. They got a couple days. They got a couple days to figure it out, and I think we all could actually feel really good about this situation, barring Zach LaVine's health. Okay, let's do this giveaway, and then there's some sound that I want to play. 916-339-1140. Monday Mayhem is here. Your chance to win tickets to see the Sacramento Kings take on the Orlando Magic, and it might be Zach LaVine's first game with the Kings, the new look Kings. 916-339-1140. Go right now. Caller number 3. Caller number 3. We ain't doing 5 no more. Caller number 3.
Should we do number 2? Because it's just announced that's going to be his number on the Spurs.
Well, we'll do that the next hour. 916-339-1140. Caller number 3, your pair of tickets. And as we head into the 11 o'clock hour, there's some sound I wanted to play for you. As, look, again, we can look at this thing from all sides. Some of you are gonna, it's gonna be tough to do that, but I did want to play this sound and kind of reminisce on the good times as Kyle takes this call. This is De'Aaron when he first got drafted to the Kings. Here it is.
The Sacramento Kings select De'Aaron Fox from the University of Kentucky.
There's old John Calipari, who's now produced a top 10 NBA pick in each of his last 10 seasons. And De'Aaron Fox, after a single season at Kentucky in which he was terrific, goes 5th overall to Sacramento. Led the SEC in assists. He is a speed demon, and he has a magnetic personality. During recruiting with Kentucky, players were drawn to wanting to play with De'Aaron Fox. So he is the type of leader, type of personality that you would like to do something for the Kings who haven't been to the playoffs since 2006.
Can I differ with you on one thing?
What's that?
He didn't produce them. He
recruited him. Okay, he recruited him. That's right.
He helped them and recruited them. He didn't produce them.
Point taken, Mr. Semantics. Now please continue, if you will.
Well, De'Aaron Fox is the fastest player in the draft. If this were a race, he would have won this thing. Yeah, he's John Wall fast. He just doesn't have a John Wall body. An excellent defender. He gets steals and deflections. He's very good on the ball and excellent in transition. He's the number 2 transition scorer in this draft. Number 1 was Malik Monk. 6 points a game scoring in transition. Malik Monk, 6 points a game. Just elite speed in the open floor and excellent quickness, and also a very good finisher. Led the Southeastern Conference in both assists and assists per game, even had a triple-double against Arizona State in the Bahamas. He's a very good passer. You know, he's right-handed naturally, but he plays and shoots as a lefty. But an excellent passer, finds people in transition, and he's unafraid. The one thing he's got to improve upon, he's got not only defensive potential, he's an excellent defender right now. He doesn't have that freak length that a lot of players have in this draft, and he's not exceptionally tall, but he can really play. But he needs to improve his shooting. Only shot 24% from three-point range, although he shot it better toward the end of the year.
I agree with you, Jay. Us lefties, we can be unorthodox. I'm pretty sure you like your fellow Chi-Towner right there, Michael Wilbon, the most famous lefty I know, the former commander-in-chief. Had to give a shout to the lefties. Again, he has John Wall speed, as you mentioned, but you said he's right naturally and shoots lefty, like Michael Conley with the Memphis Grizzlies, who had a big-time season this year. I anticipate he's going to continue to get better. I love De'Aaron Fox as a basketball player.
And we've never seen this before. 5 freshmen selected to start an NBA draft. De'Aaron Fox being the latest. We will likely continue that trend with the Orlando Magic on the clock right now.
There it was, De'Aaron Fox, when he initially got drafted. We have so much to get to. You can check that out during one of the breaks. There's also De'Aaron, and he had a jacket on for his mom, who was a breast cancer survivor. And you just see that electric personality. I'm going to be honest with you. I know he obviously older and matured as well, but hadn't seen that. When they're talking about that magnetic personality, just felt like there was a little bit of a cloud maybe even these last couple years, and maybe the writing was on the wall, but sometimes you gotta reminisce on the good times. Jason Anderson joins us, who, like I said, is traveling not with the team but along with the team. He's in Minnesota, and we are going to get a lot of answers from Jason Anderson on how this thing went and how the team is looking and feeling right now. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. You know I'm a huge fan of their SUVs and sedans, but they also have a huge Vans fleet center. Listen up, business owners. Now is the perfect time to take advantage of tax deductions. They have the perfect van to power your fleet, including the new fully electric e-Sprinter alongside their very reliable diesel options. And even if you aren't a business owner, let's say you just want one for personal reasons. Maybe you want to go out on the town with the fellas or with the ladies, or maybe you want to take the kids on a road trip. Well, their vans are fully customizable. So check out Mercedes-Benz of Stockton right now. You can choose from their dependable diesel models or even go all electric with the new e-Sprinter. So head on down to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton right now and check out their fleet center. Or, of course, you can go online at mbfstockton.com. That's mbfstockton.com.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting their focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-235-5588. That's 800-235-5588. 800-235-5588.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, Ma, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer. Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on SingleCare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to SingleCare.com or download the free app today.
The good news? Now that you've lost the excess weight, InShape Fitness is here to help you maintain your new look with everything from fitness classes to full-length mirrors to admire your new self. We are InShape. You are ready. Join online today at InShape.com.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports 1140.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
1 hour down, 3 to go. That hour has flown by. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. And as promised, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jason Anderson, Kings beat writer for the Sacramento Bee. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
No, my pleasure, man. That is quite an introduction. Thank you.
Jason, let's start here. You've been putting out a lot of great work, as you always do, and for those who aren't subscribed to the Sacramento Bee, be sure to do that. Can you let's start with what you put out over the weekend about after the OKC game where they got completely destroyed. Can you expand on what you wrote about and give us a look into the vibe of the Kings after that game? You wrote that De'Aaron seemed to have a bit of a longer goodbye to the attendees in the locker room. Was it pretty clear after that game that something was going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely was something in the air. I waited around for quite a while to talk to De'Aaron. He was one of the last to leave the locker room, so, over the course of, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, I kind of talked to some other players and kind of made my way around the locker room. And part of the story was that the vibes were just bad. And Trey Lyles talked about the energy. There was a bad energy in the room. Malik even admitted to that, as upbeat as Malik always is. Malik said, yeah, this might be the first time I would actually say I feel that way. So we go through all these conversations, and then De'Aaron, yeah, it definitely felt like the end. It was just it could have just been another night, if Fox were still here and the deadline passed and they decided to wait and figure this out later. You could just chalk it up as just, another night. But yeah, he took his time. He was in no hurry to leave. He made sure to thank like staffers and locker room attendants. And, he and I had a conversation and I shared some personal stuff with him. It did feel like something was coming. And that, we all kind of felt like it might be the last time that we were around each other that way.
Talking to Jason Anderson, who covers the Kings for the Sacramento Bee. Jason, you're with the team now. I saw you put out something about the shoot around, and obviously with the trade not being fully finalized, no Zach LaVine. How would you say the atmosphere was at shoot around today?
Yeah, it was, they let me in for the end of it. I wasn't there, throughout. The media availability comes kind of at the end where they're wrapping up. It was, I don't know. They said it was kind of business as usual. I talked to Malik. I talked to Domas. They said, it was kind of normal. We were, listening to music, and, they play their music. They shoot. They go through stuff. But it did seem to me to be a little more subdued. Okay. I think that, anytime you part ways with a player like De'Aaron, who's definitely one of the greats in franchise history, who's definitely part of the fabric of the community in Sacramento, who meant so much to the city, to the team, to so many of the fans. People are going to feel certain ways about that, and that certainly includes his coaches and his teammates. And so I do think I picked up on kind of a little bit of a subdued vibe there, and I think a lot of guys are maybe a little emotional today, whether they want to admit it or not.
Talking to Jason Anderson, who covers the Kings for the Sacramento Bee. Jason, were you surprised getting into the actual trade? So everything goes down last night. Were you surprised at what the Kings got back, or did you maybe have an idea of what they were going to get back?
No, this thing could have gone so many different ways. Depending on how many teams were involved and which teams were involved. So really it was hard to pin down like what it might be until the end where it started to get, it started to materialize. I'm surprised I guess I'm surprised that the Spurs didn't have to give up more. They really didn't give up much at all. Really, they didn't give up anything in terms of their core rotation guys or the best of the stockpile of draft picks they have. I'm a little surprised that the Kings couldn't have come away with a little more there. I think LaVine's having an incredible year. He's a great player, having an incredible year. He's going to do some things for them and open up some things that even De'Aaron didn't do in terms of, the way he shoots the three, things like that. You're going to have Malik running the point, I assume, now, which is interesting because Malik is, in my mind at least, and I think everybody he's been considered their best pick and roll ball handler, and in many ways their best playmaker for quite some time. So I think it's interesting, what they're going to look like going forward. And keep in mind the trade deadline hasn't come and gone yet, so I think there is an expectation that there could be more coming. I think that there may be another shoe to drop here at some point between now and Thursday. So we'll see what they look like at that point. But I think Zach coming in is interesting. Again, I'm a little surprised the Kings weren't able to extract a little bit more in terms of draft capital, or maybe being able to get one of those young wings out of San Antonio. I guess to sum it up, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is it's a little surprising that San Antonio didn't have to give up a little bit more to get a player of De'Aaron's caliber.
Yeah, I mean, even with what the Bulls got back in return, and that's just a little bit confusing at where the Bulls go from there. So, the San Antonio Spurs, and I said this not to be disrespectful, but they almost won the trade by what they didn't have to give up as much as by what they got from the Sacramento Kings. Talking to Jason Anderson of the Sacramento Bee. Jason, you alluded to the Kings possibly not being done, and we saw Sean Cunningham, kind of report that the Kings are aggressively pursuing something else. I heard that the Kings initially wanted two pieces. Well, they got one in kind of the playmaker. The second piece was that from what I had heard, that wing that has eluded the Kings for all these years. Are you hearing anything about the Kings and what their next move could be, from maybe a center, the Valanciunas thing, to a wing situation? Are you hearing anything?
Yeah, I mean, there's, there are kind of some rumors and things out there. Nothing I feel comfortable reporting at this point. But I think we can say that with some of what they did here in terms of stockpiling some picks, right? I mean, 3 firsts and 3 seconds, and really we all know that it amounts to 2 firsts and 5 seconds. Excuse me, my math's wrong there. But before, because the Charlotte pick is not going to be a first round pick. That's gonna convey as 2 seconds. But those seconds have some value, and the Kings have been a little hamstrung in recent times because they've given up so many of their seconds, and so many of their firsts have been tied up because of the Stepien rule and the Herter trade previously with Atlanta. So they kind of unlocked some things there, and for Valanciunas specifically. If he were to be someone they were to target, now you have a bunch of seconds you can go throw into a deal, and maybe go after him. If you're dealing with Brooklyn and they want first, and the Kings were a little bit tied up in how they could, facilitate that with their own first, now they have a little bit more they can work with, and maybe they could still circle back on a Cam Johnson deal. So I do think that this opens up some possibilities for them, and I would expect them to continue to look at things like that might be able to add to the depth, add to the size, the length, give them some forward help, because they really haven't addressed that, and they need to. I mean, this is why we're here to begin with, is because they haven't addressed those things for a couple of years now, and they need to, and they still need to, and I think they'll definitely be looking at that between now and Thursday.
Jason, a couple more before we get you out of here. I guess the question is, what do you think, and we've been taking a ton of calls so far, what do you think De'Aaron Fox's legacy will be in Sacramento? A lot of people, you talk to someone and they say, well, he could have done more. And you talk to someone else and they say, well, the front office could have helped more. What do you think his legacy in Sacramento will be?
Look, I think he's one of the best players in franchise history. I think he's certainly he's up there with guys like Chris Webber as the best in the Sacramento era. He helped get this team back to the playoffs for the first time after 16 years, ending the longest playoff drought in NBA history. It's all Sacramento wanted. It's all Sacramento wanted for 16 years. Just bring winning basketball back to Sacramento. And Fox put in the time, the sweat, equity, and the love and his heart into doing that. And he toiled through in obscurity for 5 years before they finally broke through. And I was around him all those years, and I know how hard that was for him. But he stayed, and he kept working, and he made promises to people. He put out the Players Tribune video, years ago, and said, "We're going to fight for you." And he did. I mean, the dude did. He's a warrior. I've seen him go out there hurt. I've seen him, limping around before a game. And I can remember one night on the road in Memphis, back really when him and Ja were kind of going like at it, and there were all these comparisons and it was real questionable whether Fox was going to play that night. And he went through his pregame and came off the floor. And, and I looked at him and said, "You're going to go?" And he's, F yeah. Like,
right.
I won't use the word he used on your radio show, but you know what I'm saying here. And he just had that in him. And it was something not everybody always gets to see. There were sides of him not everybody always gets to see in terms of just how fierce a competitor and how driven he was. I think back to the time when, the Lakers, again, early in his career, there was a home game against the Lakers. And, oh, gosh, a lot of these stories I'm going to tell you involve profanity. So I hope you bear with me a second. But he, his comment after the game was like, he loves the atmosphere, but there are too many effing Laker fans here. And then another night in LA, they played the Clippers. I think it was Westbrook's debut. And the Kings beat them 176-175 in double OT in one of the great games in regular season history, certainly. And, somebody down there asked him a question about winning that game and doing it where, Westbrook makes his debut and this and that. And Fox says, "Well, are you asking about us or them? Because we don't care who's over there.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter." And again, he dropped the F-bomb there. So, he had this fire in him, and his game was, to me, so unique and special. I really enjoyed watching the guy play. I think we're all going to probably miss watching him play, the way he moves, the way he can get to his spots, the way, he could finish games. It was just, he really is a special talent. And I think he'll be remembered that way.
Jason Anderson, the Sacramento Bee. Thank you so much for joining us, Jason. Real quick, before we get you out of here, is the assumption Keon will start tonight? That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think probably so. I mean, I guess you go probably Monk, Keon, and then, DeRozan, Murray, Sabonis. Zach is not here. He's not going to be here from what I'm told. They have to get through physicals today, and there are 7 players involved in this trade. So, Zach also has been away from the Bulls for personal reasons for a couple of games because his wife had a baby. And so it's still not clear to me even if he'll be there Wednesday.
Right.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, I would assume Keon starts tonight.
Jason Anderson, go check out all of his work at the Sacramento Bee, who covers the Kings right there, out there in Minnesota with them right now. Jason, thank you so much for joining us. We got to do this again soon.
Anytime, Alan. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks so much. That was Jason Anderson of the Sacramento Bee. Great stuff from Jason this whole weekend, really giving us a look into what is going down during that road trip. And I can tell you this much, I don't feel great about tonight either. Maybe we can power through. Let's break down the immediate future with the Sacramento Kings on the other side. Opening back up the phone lines. Kyle, open them up. 916-339-1140. Reacting to the De'Aaron Fox trade and what happens next for your Sacramento Kings on the flagship for the Bean Team. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local, but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Carrington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
Ready now for the second one. Wastes absolutely no time. He hits them both. Hits 123, 121. 11.7 to go. Inbounds to Monk. He's squeezed in the corner, and the Kings turn it over. Two-hand flush thrown down by Chuma Alkeke, and a ball that skipped off their hands on the inbound. Fox comes up the floor, 2 seconds. Here's a 35-footer for the win. He's got the bucket in an unbelievable finish in overtime. De'Aaron Fox from well over 30 feet straight away after the Kings had turned it over on a two-man squeeze in the...
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Thanks again to Jason Anderson of the Sacramento Bee. That was guest number one. Plenty of guests today on the show. Brendan Nunez joins us at 12 o'clock. Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs and CBS 5 San Antonio joins us at 12:30. And Sam Smith joins us of Bulls.com at 12:45. So a lot of guests joining us today. We're going to open, and because of that, we're going to open back up the phone lines right now, 916-339-1140. Still have a game tonight. And from what Jason Anderson is saying, I don't feel great about it, but this is the game that you're okay with, right? The OKC thing, I guess you have to be okay with all three. Really that, and to be honest, the Sixers game doesn't look that bad because the Sixers went on to win a game after that, right? And they almost beat the Celtics yesterday. So Tyrese Maxey has been playing at an extreme level. And all y'all that are always in my mentions saying, Allen, you love Tyrese Maxey, he's a bit overrated. Does he look overrated now? So, just leave me alone with that.
Capital O,
overrated. Stop it. And you know what? Get to the phone lines. The phone lines are back off the hook again. Kyle's got to go to the phone lines. Real quick, 916 on the text line is asking, why don't you take a few minutes and explain why the Hornets 2025 first rounder will turn into 2 second rounders instead of 1 first rounder? That's big. That makes the deal terrible. Okay, 916. I'll do that right now. So the Hornets, the 2025 pick is top 14 protected, right? And the Hornets stink. So that is not going to convey to the Sacramento Kings. And it will turn into 2 second-round picks from the Charlotte Hornets. That's the issue with that pick and why everybody is saying, oh, it's not really 1 pick, it's or not really a first round pick, it's more like 2 second round picks. So that's why these are kind of low level, these are not high value first round picks, and all first round picks aren't created equal. So that is why there is a situation here. So just to break it down again, Charlotte's 2025 first round pick that Sacramento is landing from San Antonio is top 14 protected, essentially guaranteed that it won't convey and will instead become a 2026 and 2027 Charlotte second round pick. So the Kings really got back 2 firsts. That's what's going on there. So I don't think it makes the deal terrible, but it definitely, as you say, 916, but it definitely doesn't look as good. Again, makes it look more Instagram good, right? So there is that situation. Here's something 36 minutes ago before we get to the phone lines. This is from Keith Smith. And we talked to Jason Anderson, who's out there in Minnesota. This is from Keith Smith, who is a contributor to Spotrac. He says, The fact that the Spurs, Kings, Bulls trade hasn't been made official could be an indication that the deal might get expanded. I don't think it's anything major, but I'm sure Chicago would rather find a home for a couple of players versus having to just eat their contracts. So that is something that we will continue to monitor. 916-339-1140. Let's get to KD. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, KD? What you got for us?
Hey, man, how you doing? Hey, I've been a long-time fan for, well, not a long time, but 25 years I consider long.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, that I think a lot of this is correlated in the way of the Mike Brown firing. And let me just talk my piece here for a minute.
Uh-huh.
If we look at the manager is still there, and obviously Sabonis was given, over $200 million, look to be a franchise player. And I like Sabonis. The double-double, you hear this, you hear KD, this, that. But you know what? Sabonis also gets just abused inside by a lot of teams because he's not a true 5, right? We know that. He's more of a 4. And you just traded one of the best, the best player, in my opinion, has ever been in a Kings uniform, but one of the best two-way players in the league. And you look at what we got in exchange. Monty McClair, the guy right behind him, I forget his name.
Wes Wilcox.
Wilcox. Their days should be numbered, number one. Number two, I believe this ownership is they don't want to pay De'Aaron that 300-some million. They really want it. And San Antonio is going to pay him. And I'm going to root for this kid because now the world will be able to see this kid. We know what this kid's all about. But this country will be able to see this kid a lot more because a lot more games are showed with Wemby than they are with the Kings.
Right.
And I think they've made a big mistake, and it's time for a change. And honestly, I hope we get a new ownership because I think this ownership is about money, not about the fans. Because us as fans, we deserve better than this.
KD, before we let you go, I think you're still there. Real quick, just to play devil's advocate with you, do you put any responsibility on, should I say, the lack of success that the Kings had while De'Aaron was here? Because you're saying he's a top 5 two-way player.
Okay, so let me respond to that. Look at who he's put around him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're putting Doug McDermott. No, knock the Doug. He can shoot the ball.
Right.
But you got Jay Crowder that's sitting on the bench, Doug McDermott, Alex Lynn that's just taking up a seat. Sabonis says, look at who he's put around him. But yes, there was the Malik Monk. I'm glad but we needed more pieces. Everybody agrees we needed more wings. Everybody agreed that we need somebody inside to help out Sabonis. We get abused by athletic teams. That kid is going to shine. Mark my words. And I'm gonna root him on because he's in a better organization, and they've got pieces over there. And Monty McClair to Vlade Divac have been a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for the call, KD. Appreciate the conversation because that's what I'm kind of struggling with, right? If you replace Wemby with Sabonis on the Kings, they're obviously better, right? Or they're going to be better at some point. Okay. Putting De'Aaron on the Spurs, I don't know what else the Spurs are going to add. And I think some people would go back and forth with KD about De'Aaron being the best player to ever to ever wear a Kings jersey. But what I'm struggling with is De'Aaron does deserve some responsibility in where the Kings were before he left, specifically this season. I know that this team is not set up to win a championship, but this team wasn't really set up to be an 11 seed or a 10 seed either. So that's what I'm struggling a bit with. And again, he's going to San Antonio to be a number 2. He was cast as a number 1 when he got drafted. When we played that sound, he was supposed to be a number 1. He's going to be a really elite 2, and that I can agree with that. I have no problem admitting that. Dwayne, Will, TC, will get to you on the other side. Continuing the conversation on De'Aaron Fox as he moves forward. What's the next move you would like to see the Kings make before the deadline? Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SactownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. It is Monday, getting out the door to a mild start to the day with cloudy skies, maybe a stray shower for the morning drive. Aside from that, most of your daylight hours will be dry. Next round of steady, heavy rain arrives after the sun goes down tonight. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
There's only one place where you'll find thousands of top brand vehicles, 17 dealers, and a friendly staff. Find the perfect ride tailored to fit your budget. Dream big and save even more during the President's Day sale at the Roseville Auto Mall. Driven to be the best.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531, 808-2531.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? You were a bit surprised at how much it cost, or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
This 49er Injury Report is brought to you by Jeremy Winter, attorney at law. He cares because he's been there. After an injury-plagued 2024 season, which ended 6-11 and out of the playoffs, the 49ers will focus on getting healthy in the offseason. Running backs Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Isaac Guerrero all suffered season-ending injuries. Left tackle Trent Williams' ankle kept him out late in the year, and Brock Purdy missed the season finale with a hurt elbow. 49ers hope to enter 2025 with a full roster back intact.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237.
He wiggles on the left wing, 2-point range. Probes, pulls back, 18-footer. He's got the bucket. This game is tied at 162. De'Aaron Fox now has 40 points with that make.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Domantas Sabonis speaks 21 minutes ago. He posts on Instagram, bigger than basketball, with a handshake emoji and a bunch of pictures with him and De'Aaron and Kevin Huerter. Sorry, Kevin Huerter. We have not even talked about Kevin Huerter, and that stinks in these situations. But shout out Kevin Huerter and his contribution, specifically the Beam Team season. Kevin Huerter no longer with the squad. But Domantas Sabonis speaks. He says bigger than basketball with some pictures of De'Aaron Fox and Kevin Huerter. Yeah, I mean, these guys, it's a tough situation, right? We're going to hear from them a lot now that the trade has gone through. But these Instagram posts, there's only so much you can say. And we will, some people will take it and say, well, he only posted this or he only said that. But, ultimately it's not as simple as you may think in these situations.
No love for Jordan McLaughlin.
No, he had pictures with Jordan McLaughlin too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he had a couple pictures with Jordan McLaughlin. And he was a lot of fun, by the way, Jordan McLaughlin, when we had him on Media Day. But if you were to tell me, well, I got to be real careful here, but a lot has happened since Media Day. A lot has happened in general.
The entire organization blew up.
Yeah.
They blew up the entire team.
Yeah. Media Day was a completely different world. I'll tell you that much. The 831-916-339-1140. 831, we're going to be joined by Brendan Nunez in about 30 minutes. 831 says, love Fox, but looking at it from an ownership point of view, you can't pay someone a max player money if Fox doesn't want to be the number one, which has been made clear. Wish that the Kings could have milked that trade a little bit more, but it is what it is. Let's hope that another move is made. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. And Jason Anderson made me feel a little bit better about what the Kings got back. It just all depends on what they do next. Okay, you're going to retool and not rebuild. Okay, we'll continue to retool. The 916 says, Allen, if we agree Fox is more of a number two than a number one, then doesn't that make the return seem better looking at it that way from Jeff? Yeah, you could say that. You could say that, Jeff, right? I mean, a high-level number two as well. And again, I think that the conversations were obviously happening before Luka got moved, but I think it's crazy to say that the Luka thing didn't affect this at all on some degree. So there's that as well. 916-339-1140. Let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to Will, wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Will? What you got for us?
What's up, Styles? How y'all doing, man?
We're good. We're good, man.
Let's be honest, man. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Put yourself in Fox's shoes. Okay. Who would you want to play with, the Avatar, the Alien, or Domas? Yeah. I mean, these guys gonna be dominant when they learn how to play the game. The Spurs are gonna be awesome, man. And then here's another thing. I mean, we love Fox, man. He's been here 7 years. We didn't want to see him go, but I feel good for Fox. I'm glad he got a chance to get out of here. And when is the last time the Kings had a dynamic, explosive score like Levine?
Yeah.
Okay, see, we got to look on the positive side. We're gonna be we're gonna be a lot better, man. I'm telling you, we're gonna be a lot better.
So you think it's a win-win, Will? You call it a win-win?
It's a win-win because Levine is gonna draw fouls. He's gonna hit his free throws. The dude is dynamic.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Will. Great stuff. It's all about that health. You know what's gonna tick Kings fans off though? If you watch, and again, maybe it's based on what the stakes are, but if you see angry De'Aaron all the time now, or that De'Aaron Fox that's just fully engaged all the time, I think that will annoy Kings fans. Because there were nights when you're thinking, hey, De'Aaron, can you get it going? And maybe some of that this season was him not being healthy. And Jason Anderson talked about him playing through injury. But if you see a fully engaged De'Aaron every single night, I do think that Kings fans, that could put a bad taste in their mouth, because that wasn't always the case with De'Aaron out here in Sacramento. And that's just the truth of it. 916. De'Aaron engaged, fully engaged is one thing. That's not what we saw from De'Aaron every single night. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Dwayne. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Dwayne? What you got for us?
Hey, my man, Allen, man, I might get a little long-winded on this one, man. I had to calm myself down before I called, man. I was all over the morning show.
All good.
Yeah, so my thing is, this feels like when the 49ers kicked the field goal in overtime in the Super Bowl, bro. It feels like a losing proposition, bro. Nobody's pumped up, bro. They kicked that field goal, and I didn't see no excitement, bro. They're like, okay, so it's just like a losing proposition. But I will say this. Now, I also want to say, it seems like Monty McNair and whatever his name is, they don't care about being a presence in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about rim protection, shot blocking, changing shots, getting out in the fast break, what all the bigs bring, because we've been waiting on this for a long time. They should have picked Khalil Ware in the draft instead of Carter.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing big things in Miami. He's like 7 feet tall, young, athletic.
I liked him. I liked him.
You couldn't see it, though. Monty McNair couldn't see it, bro. So now I'm going to leave it like this, though, man. I'm going to give him his 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 72 hours to make another trade.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Dwayne. As always, let's keep rolling here and try to get them through before the break. Let's go to Matt, wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Matt? What you got for us?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
The curse is back. The curse is back.
Oh, man. Matt, what are you talking about?
Well, I started, so basically, the Kings early 2000s on top. After Chris Webber was gone and the era was over, I stopped watching the Kings.
Right.
I was born and raised in Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox got me back watching the Kings again. And I don't know why. I thought they were going to make another trade. I heard they're supposed to get traded and something else was supposed to happen. But instead, all of a sudden, boom, Fox is on the block.
Right.
And this is our franchise player. DeRozan came here because of Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was coming here because of Fox. He was an exciting player. He was the best Kings player up there right next to Chris Webber.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get anything for him. If they wanted Levine, they could have just went straight to the Bulls.
Right.
They could have became the Sacramento Bulls and traded Herter for Levine.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Matt. Well, that money wouldn't have worked exactly, but I hear what you're saying. There was a conversation. This whole thing was about adding to the team, not necessarily taking away. You wanted Zach LaVine to add to the group. You didn't want to lose De'Aaron Fox to then add LaVine. That's not what the situation initially was. Let's get to Spencer in El Dorado Hills. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Spencer? What you got for us?
Hey, guys. You know something? I hear what everybody's saying. I'm hearing some of these comments. I disagree with most of them. De'Aaron Fox, very, very good player. Really good, fun to watch. And yes, he made the Kings respectable again, except for it took Sabonis coming and that whole squad 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So all I'm going to say is this, Sacramento has rarely makes the right move. They seem to make a lot of bad moves.
Right.
But I think this one where they're getting all these first-round draft picks, I understand some of them are going to end up, after the fact being second rounds. But it's draft capital. I did like what the first guy said about let's see what happens in the next 72 hours.
Right.
But I would definitely say this. The Kings have been seriously enamored with guard play and small forward play that I agree. They need to get some big players. Everyone's trying to copy the Warriors, the Splash Brothers, lots of run and gun. But they need a shot blocker, and something. Levine is a good player. I don't think he's better than De'Aaron Fox, but he's a very good player. And by the way, DeMar DeRozan loves playing with Levine.
Thanks for the call, Spencer. Shout out El Dorado Hills. Yeah, and by the way, DeMar DeRozan did post on his social media last night, Peaches and Herb reunited, and it feels so good. The Sacramento Bulls are what they're calling them. I don't think it's that bad because I believe that you have Domantas Sabonis, and a lot of people like Vucevic, but you have Domantas Sabonis, you have Keegan Murray, Malik Monk. So I do think that this team has an opportunity. They just need more, right? And as Dwayne said, you have an opportunity to do something in the next 72 hours, Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox. So what are you going to do? TC, Jason, Joe, JR, I almost said Junior. You lead us on the other side as we continue the conversation. And Brendan Nunez joins us at 12 o'clock. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Keegan Murray plays here.
Keegan scores another three-pointer. Keegan Murray knocking it down for 23 points. Match De'Aaron Fox for game scoring honors.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Advanced Infusion Center, where we prioritize your comfort and well-being. Whether you're managing a chronic condition or seeking specialized IV therapy, our state-of-the-art center offers tailored solutions to meet your needs. Advanced Infusion Center's dedicated healthcare professionals are here to ensure your safety and provide personalized care. Conveniently located in Sacramento and Yuba City with flexible scheduling options. Experience a new standard in infusion therapy. Visit Advanced Infusion Center today at advancedinfusion.com.
Discover unbeatable value at Folsom Buick GMC this President's Day. Drive with assurance and our 20-year, 200,000-mile powertrain warranty. Enjoy $10,000 off all 2024 Hummer EVs, plus 0% APR for 60 months for qualified buyers. Lease the 2025 Hummer EV for just $818 per month. These offers end March 3rd, 2025. Visit Folsom Buick GMC today, your EV headquarters for power, performance, and savings. Select units and check dealer for details.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on SingleCare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to SingleCare.com or download the free app today.
Hi, I'm Justin Gingery. One of the most common questions I receive is what makes us different from other law firms. At Gingery Hammer and Associates, we handle your case from beginning to end. Whether your case reaches a settlement, whether we need to file suit, or even take it all the way to trial, we will be with you along the entire way. And because we are committed to you and your case, we are as invested as you are in making sure you get the outcome you deserve. If you have an injury, just call Gingery.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Back to Curry, launches for three, going to be strong and long, no good. Fox with a rebound, gives it up to Malik Monk with 2:25 to go. Long lead pass, Harrison Barnes, shoulders into the lane, dumps to the corner. Davion has it, he drives, he kicks. Fox will step into a straightaway three. He's got the triple. Sacramento leads by 6 at 107-101. De'Aaron Fox, only his second made three-pointer in 9 attempts, gives him 24 points. Still 2 minutes, 2 seconds to go.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Plenty to do in this segment. In 15 minutes, Brendan Nunez will join us. We have your calls, and we also have another giveaway we're going to get to. I think we have, I don't know, Kyle. So we do this thing where we've joked about me getting compared to most of the time it's black guys with a beard, okay? But this is a new one. I've gotten there's somebody on YouTube that always says I look like Michael Finley, and I don't know. And Dave has a lot of fun with it, and we've been joking about this. So I got this from the 209. Hey, Alan, stayed home today, so I'm watching on YouTube. You look like a mixture of 50 Cent and Kenny Smith. Just saying. Also, Fox is going to be a bust in San Antonio market. Kenny the Jet?
I assume that's the only Kenny Smith I know.
Kenny the Jet and 50 Cent? That's a new one. Not the 50 Cent. I've gotten 50 Cent, but the Kenny the Jet, that's new.
I feel like I'm not the person who can comment on that, but
no, go ahead. It's fine.
Looking at the photo right here, I mean,
you got to combine them together.
Well, yeah, but I know what 50 Cent looks like.
I don't. 209. I don't know.
Kenny Smith just looks like a black man with a beard. I don't think.
That's what I told you.
Yeah.
I have a list. I have a running list.
Yeah.
And now Kenny has gotten that. But it's a combo.
But it's also kind of pointless because the only correct answer to this is Childish Gambino.
All right. Well, enough with that. 916-339-1140. All right, let's get through these phone lines. Let's give the floor to TC, one of our P0s. TC, what you got for us?
Hey, Allen. What's up, man?
What's up, TC?
Hey, listen. Yeah. So all I'm going to say right now, bro, is before we get started, I want to send mine. Thank you, Fox, to the Fox family. You were great here, bro. We love you. I'm going to always love you. I'm going to give you a standing ovation every time you come. I'm never going to boo you or any of that. But as far as the Kings, it's time to move on, bro. We got to quit acting like we didn't just get a guy, right? Like we didn't just get an all-star, right? We acting like we traded De'Aaron Fox for Patrick Beverly and 15 pick swaps. Bro, we got Zach LaVine and some first-round picks, and we ain't done. Money and West, make a move for Val or whoever you got to make a move for. But what I'm calling in today is I want to first and foremost say thank you, Fox. But I want to let everybody know, bro, this is not the end of the world. We got to strap our boots up. We got a game tonight and move on, bro. But we did not get Patrick Beverly and 10 second-round picks.
Thanks for the call, TC. Yeah, I mean, we can let people mourn for a day at least.
I don't want to move on. I'm really sad.
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of time. But look, if some people want to move on, they can move on.
Jason Anderson almost made me cry when he was talking about them saying goodbye for the last time.
So, I hear you, and we don't tell people how to fan, but I think a lot of people want to, this was 8 years, man. 8 years. It took you to the playoffs. Look, there's gonna be plenty of time to move on. This is it, right? I mean, they got a game tonight. So tomorrow we're reacting to the game. 916-339-1140. Let's go to Joe. Wants to be part of the conversation. What's up, Joe? What you got for us?
What's up, Alan? How you doing today?
I'm good, man. What you got?
Hey, man, so I just want to say with De'Aaron Fox, I mean, we lost him. I know it is what it is. It's a business, but it kind of does feel like I lost my best friend. And I've seen Fox in the community quite a few times, and I had conversations with him. Mm-hmm. Really nice guy. Love him as a player. But the thing I have to talk about is Monty McNair. Is like he's traded 2 franchise-type point guards. I mean, who does that? Like, some teams can't even get one, and he's traded 2 franchise point guards with Halliburton. And I know you got DeMontis in return, but now you got Fox, and I mean, who do we get in return? I mean, Zach LaVine's not no bust. I mean, he's not a trash player. He's a really, really good offensive player. But I mean, last year they was trying to get rid of him in Chicago. So I mean, the value that he had, it's like, we got him, but we could have got him last year for cheap.
Right?
They were just trying to give him away for nothing. They're just trying to get rid of his contract. So it's just like, it's kind of like, man, I lost my best friend. That's just really sad about it. But yeah, I got to get over it and just try to hope Monty McNair is going to do something with trying to get a big, because everybody knows Sacramento needs big men, and we keep on drafting, I like Devin Carter, but we keep on drafting these point guards, and it's like, man, Davion drafted, Devin Carter drafted, you got Halliburton traded, so it's just like, man, when is he going to realize we need somebody big? We need somebody to step up.
Yeah, that's a great call, Joe. That's a great call, because a couple of things. The first part of that is there's so much to break down here. The Tyrese Halliburton situation. Yeah, I mean, nobody, and I saw Matt George kind of getting dragged by Pacers fans because it's a rough go now, because obviously the Pacers won that deal, right? I mean, the Kings still have Sabonis, but you lost both point guards now to get back Zach LaVine. And Zach LaVine, I guess, was able to rebuild his value in the matter of 42 games. So that's quite interesting. And the other part of it is just looking at where the Kings are gonna go next. You don't have a lot of pieces, a lot of high value pieces to go take a big swing. So you're really banking on a leap from Malik Monk, Zach LaVine continuing to play at this level and stay healthy, and Domantas Sabonis continuing to do his thing. So that's a great call. That's a great call. Let's get to the phone lines are just ringing, and I know we got to get to the giveaway as well, but we always got time for JR. What's up, JR? What you got for us? Oh, different JR. What's up, JR?
I'm a diehard Kings fan just like everybody else, but, if you really look at it, we weren't playing well this year with Fox in the lineup, without him in the lineup. And so you had to do something. And I get the value situation with De'Aaron. Levine's he's a stud, man. We needed a different fit here. And so I think it's going to help us maybe build a little bit more chemistry. And maybe it was the Mike Brown firing, but let's be honest. You watch some of the games that Fox played this year, he just didn't seem interested in playing at all.
Yeah.
And so, it was frustrating to watch him play not to his level of performance because he's a stud. But, I think people are just jumping the gun on this a little bit. I get it. You want more value for Fox, but Zach LaVine is going to be really good in sack with Domas. And what's up with Mo Bamba? I saw that the Clippers waived him. Can we go after him just as a backup? Because Lynn is awful. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I do think there is right, and I would say that the Kings you would think have bigger fish to fry, but you got to get somebody. You can have a plan, and then you get nobody, and people are just roasting you again. But JR, to what you were saying about the whole situation with De'Aaron Fox, yeah, that's how I think this thing goes left for De'Aaron. If De'Aaron is just hyper-focused and every night you're getting high-level ticked-off De'Aaron, I think that's where Kings fans might be a little upset because it's one thing to not have a good enough roster. It's another thing when it seems like it's starting to affect how you are on the court. And I think that's the one thing that if we watch this, it could go left for how Kings fans feel about De'Aaron Fox, because that effort conversation that we have had about De'Aaron Fox, if that's no longer an issue, I think things get a little bit squirrely. 91633, what's up?
Real quick,
Kyle?
To answer the question, the Mo Bamba thing. So the Clippers and Jazz did a trade to move salaries, basically. And so after Utah got Mo Bamba, they waived him. So Mo Bamba is going to be a buyout candidate, probably going to sign after the trade deadline.
There you go. And there are a couple teams that are interested in Mo Bamba, but also I would say with what the Kings have, the assets they have back, they're hoping to get more than that, but I would definitely take Mo Bamba. 916-339-1140. All right, your chance to win tickets to Kings Magic on Wednesday. Caller number 2 for your pair of tickets, 916-339-1140. De'Aaron's new number on the Spurs, number 2, 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140. Caller number 2 to get those pair of tickets. They are coming in now. Kyle, you are going to handle those, and we will be joined by Brendan Nunez on the other side. I see number 2 coming in. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Want to have enough money for retirement
and travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Save no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khdk.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more. And then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave coming to you from my good friends at American Energy. Look, it's already cold outside. It's only going to get colder. American Energy wants to help you stay warm and make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of the $49 tune-up inspection. Normally $119, $49 right now, and that includes a full safety and duct inspection. And check it out. If your system's over 10 years old, and I'll bet it is, the tune-up, yeah, it's free. It's free from a company that's been in business since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ Better Business Bureau. Check their Yelp, check their Google reviews. Don't take my word for it. Give them a call right now. $50 off your first recommended repair. If you need a new furnace, half off the price of a new unit. Check them out at theaeway.com and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
KHD 1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140.
Sabonis throws down to the left corner to Barnes, fakes the three, drives on Draymond, shoulders for space, squares up, the floater, no good. Stick back to Aaron Fox. He came out of nowhere on the left handle, and he was above the iron to poke it down off the miss. Spectacular timing on the part of De'Aaron Fox, and the Kings have a 3-point lead at 11-8.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
2 hours down, 2 to go. Brendan Nunez is about to join us. While we are getting to Brendan Nunez, real quick, just around the league, the Warriors have literally called about every superstar. And when I say every every all-star, I'm not kidding. There are reports from Shams saying that they've called about Paul George, they've called about LaMelo. They're really shuffling here to try to do something before the deadline. I think they thought that they were going to get Zach LaVine, that a lot of people on my feed have been telling me that, and they're trying to add more. A lot of teams are – the shuffle is starting, and this is – and Giannis has been brought up as well. This was from Shams. The Warriors have reportedly checked in with every all-star player in the league. That's from Shams. That was an hour ago. So a lot of teams aren't done, and hopefully the Kings aren't done as they do move on from De'Aaron Fox, but they get Zach LaVine in return. They get some picks, whether those picks have high or low value. That is what Brendan is going to help us figure out, and the flexibility that the Kings have moving forward. Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alan. Excuse me. I moved yesterday, so I'd like to take full blame for the De'Aaron Fox trade happening yesterday.
Yeah.
I knew when I had this scheduled that, it was of course going to line up this way, but I'm doing all right, hanging in there. How you doing?
No, well, it's funny because when everything started to heat up, we both got the information. Hey, something is happening. I'm going to set up for the live show, and I'm in my I'm not in my PJs, but I'm in some. I've gotta comb the hair and do a couple things. So I'm getting everything set up. As I'm refreshing, I walk to go put a shirt on. Right, I go to the bedroom to put a shirt on. Get the text from Chris Verlade. Well, there it is. And of course, as soon as I walk away from the setup, so then I got to rush and set everything up, but that's just how it goes. How did the move go? Just quickly. I know moving stinks.
It was all right. It wasn't too bad. I don't have a crazy amount of things going from a roommate to roommate scenario. So just moving a room isn't all too bad. Took 2 days. Trade news broke while I was on the road, had my girlfriend swap to the driver's seat, whip up an article real quick,
There you go.
Typical life of.
There you go. And look, speaking of whipping up an article, go check out Brendan's work on sacktownsports.com. Okay, Brendan, let's get to it. And a lot of people started off, I've been calling this an Instagram trade because it looks really good as far as a picture is concerned. And Shams gets to come out and say, they got 3 first rounders, but you start to break down the first rounders and the value of them, not as high as maybe a lot of people would have liked. What were your first initial feelings on the trade?
Yeah, I mean, not too surprised that they tried to flip some of these assets for another player here. I thought that Devin Vassell or, probably not Stephon Castle. Obviously, that's what Sacramento would prefer, but I don't think San Antonio was really playing around with Castle very much there. But I was a little surprised that, no Keldon Johnson, no Devin Vassell in the deal. The picks that are coming back, essentially with the Charlotte pick being lottery protected this year and then turning into 2 Charlotte seconds, which isn't horrible, 2026 and 2027, but what you're talking – these are probably top 40 picks, obviously, right? So you get 2 seconds or 2 firsts essentially and 5 seconds in this deal. I think the decision to try and remain competitive makes trading away what is largely viewed as your best player a little bit complicated. That's not typically the scenario that those teams are usually in. So, there is aspects where I think the Kings will be better off offensively. They don't shoot very many threes. They don't knock them down at a great percentage. Levine is shooting above 44% off the dribble and off the catch from 3. He gets up a crazy amount of games. So there's intriguing aspects, but I think overall it's an end of an era in Sacramento. And I think that De'Aaron was the best player on this team. So you got to rework a lot here. And I worry more about what this means for maybe your postseason odds rather than regular season numbers.
Let's go in that direction then, Brendan, and take a step back. Talking to Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. How will you remember De'Aaron Fox and what he did for the Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, I think that, from everything I've gathered, like De'Aaron really wanted to be in Sacramento and wanted it to work out here, and obviously we got to a point where maybe that wasn't the case because of just everything that happened over the years. I think from a Kings fan's perspective, they've grown frustrated, whether that be with this front office or just organization in general over the years. And I would just say being a player where your livelihood is on the line and dealing with all that, that's probably amplified even more so. And so I think that, a guy that wanted to be here when it came down to it, but it just didn't work out. And I think that San Antonio is a good spot for him eventually, but I think that original Beam team will always be remembered for a long time. Kevin Huerter does go into that grouping as well, but De'Aaron really being the one to pull this team essentially out of the gutters with that losing streak and playoff drought that they had experienced. I think that he'll be remembered fondly for a long time, but I think Zach LaVine could become a fan favorite pretty quickly.
Talking to Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Brendan, when did you feel, or when did it feel like this thing was too far gone? We talked to Jason Anderson, and he said, after that OKC just dismantling of the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron spent a lot of time in the locker room, and it kind of felt like it was headed in that direction. But we can take a step back from that. When did you feel like, yeah, I don't think this thing is going to pull itself back together, and Fox is probably gone?
Yeah, I think when they let go of Mike Brown, and it's again accumulation of things over the years, but in my mind, that was the final straw that meant this offseason is probably the end. I didn't think it was going to be the deadline until, sort of this week leading up to it. But definitely day of and days prior, there was a lot of smoke of the Kings looking in a lot of different directions. Obviously, they came to De'Aaron saying that they thought that they were going to entertain conversations, and he had his response, and Rich Paul and all of that obviously factoring in there. But really, it seemed like they were trying everything, for all the names that were floated out there, whether it be Jimmy Butler for half a sec and then not going in that direction, or shoot, Alan, we heard the name like Kevin Durant floated around for half a sec about the idea of, hey, what if we keep De'Aaron and we go and try and make these moves? And then eventually they revisit moving on from De'Aaron, obviously. And I even heard an aspect of, the front office somewhat feeling like it was hard to get other things done before moving De'Aaron. And, you think of the John Collins deal that they've been linked to, or Cam Johnson that they've been heavily linked to. They didn't have very many assets to work with when it came to draft capital. And after this, sure, you can argue about the value level of each of these assets, but they have more to work with in general. I mean, they're working with, matching salary, maybe a different story after Kevin Huerter's moved on from as well, but you still have Trey Lyles, some of these other pieces there. But they're working with 4 first-round picks, 2 swaps, and 6 second-rounders now. It was 1 second-rounder prior. Like John Collins is a guy that you wonder if you throw 3 second-rounders, can you get something done there? Or, again, now you have an interesting aspect to go revisit Cam Johnson trades where maybe in an unprotected first down the line wasn't something you were willing to give up. But, hey, this San Antonio pick that we have here, we feel a little bit more willing to give up, kind of like you see the Spurs trading one of their firsts for multiple lesser valued first in what everybody thought was going to be eventually a Jimmy Butler deal. So I think the writing is on the wall that they got more assets here to try and do more before this deadline.
Talking to Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Brendan, how would you, going back to everything that happened with De'Aaron, how would you, for lack of a better term, distribute the blame? When De'Aaron, and we've talked about this a little bit during the roundtable, when De'Aaron and his camp approached the front office, right? When they approached the front office and said, hey, what are we doing here before it, whether I'm able to get the Supermax or not, are we moving in the right direction? I think one thing that I'm struggling with, and what some of the listeners are struggling with, is whether or not was that all done in good faith when De'Aaron said, hey, this is the situation. For the Kings to move off of Mike Brown, right? Pretty soon after that happened, it's kind of telling me that they didn't think that conversation went really well. How would you distribute that blame? And do you think there was enough to keep De'Aaron before they decided to move off of Mike Brown? Do you think that they were a John Collins away? I think that's been the struggle here with the whole situation. Was there realistically enough for the Kings to do this season? Or was De'Aaron kind of saying, hey, go do all this stuff, but in reality, you're not going to be able to make up for all the screw-ups that you've had throughout the last 7 years?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I think the writing was on the wall. I think it would have taken a lot. I think it would have taken to keep De'Aaron around after the firing of Mike Brown. Again, there's that. Honestly, I think the organization not having a press conference after doing that, and De'Aaron taking a lot of the blame, and him having to, maybe not having to, but feeling like he needs to take to socials to defend himself for doing that through media. Like, there's a couple aspects of that sort of stuff throughout the years, whether, he got blamed for when Keon Ellis was coming out after press conferences when they got their butt kicked. I believe
Podium gate.
Podium gate. Like 2 years ago, De'Aaron gets a bunch of crap for it. Come to find out, he never even got asked to come out to post-game media, and he takes a bunch of crap for it, and the media doesn't, or the organization doesn't quite, stick their neck out to defend him. And so I think, again, I'm just throwing out a couple examples, but I think it's a buildup of things of drafting guards in the lottery for a couple years now, with Keegan Murray being the obvious exception. But I think really feeling like, looking at this roster the same way that we do from De'Aaron's perspective, but feeling like they need more wings forwards on this team to be serious. Right. And the organization didn't go get that. So I think that could it have been saved at the deadline? Like, I think that's why you hear, and again, I think this was super pie in the sky, but that's why you hear like the KD stuff, because I think it would have had to been that extreme to convince De'Aaron to stay. And maybe it is a John Collins or Cam Johnson deal because that makes you have a very competitive second round exit. Like, there's no telling that couldn't have been enough. But I think that he was at a point where he was pretty much over it, and it would have taken a lot. And so from the Kings perspective, it's debatable if their same assets and return would have been available for them this offseason compared to doing the deal now, obviously. But again, you have more assets to work with at this deadline, and I don't think that they're done. But I think we had gotten to the point after the Mike firing, and again, accumulation of a lot of different things, where it would have taken a lot to convince De'Aaron to stay at this point.
Brandon, one more quick one. I know we have you for 2 segments, and we'll kind of go into the future of the Kings on the other side. But I was just thinking about this as you were talking, and there's a game tonight, and we know that on top of everything that's been going on with the deal not being official yet, Zach LaVine and his wife, they just had a baby, so he hadn't been with the Bulls, so we don't know when we're going to see Zach LaVine. If I ask you initially, who is the leader of the Kings right now, or who is the leader now of the Kings, what would you say?
Gosh, honestly, Alan, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good question. Well, to be honest, De'Aaron was already a lead by example guy.
Yeah.
So I think vocally it was more probably Domantas Sabonis, and Malik Monk is almost like the spirit of the team, if you want to go in that direction. I think his energy is a little bit infectious. I think LaVine is going to have a little bit of that as well. And DeMar, obviously, you would like to think can be a little bit more comfortable here without having, I know it's the first coaching change mid-season he's dealt with, but having LaVine around who he has a good relationship with, and just the monkey being off your back of all this De'Aaron Fox conversation, obviously. So it's a good question. I think it's kind of a team effort and you really look at, those main 4 guys on the roster, and obviously interim Doug Christie too.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating to see who kind of emerges throughout the rest of this season, because the season ain't done, and there's a game tonight. Let's talk about what the Kings are going to attempt to do before the trade deadline ends, and Brandon will break down kind of the flexibility that everybody keeps talking about the Kings having when we return. Brandon Nunes, our Sacktown Sports Insider, hanging with us for another segment. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
Please, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be
reeling in the refund.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
From the 916, LaVine is a top 5 trade talent all time for the Kings. Top 5 trade talent. That's maybe, sure. Brandon Nunes. Brandon, what do you think of that? We're with Brandon Nunes, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Zach LaVine is a top 5 trade talent all time. So anybody that the Kings have traded for.
Sure. I think that's fair. Right? I also don't think it's the most prestigious list.
Right.
As we kind of go down the line.
Because DeMar is on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he was also used as the best free agent signing in Sacramento history. So I guess he can go both ways as a sign and trade. But yeah, I mean, LaVine has a extensive resume. He's a gold medalist. how many times All-Star are we talking here? 2-time All-Star, but a guy that averages 24 this year. And yeah, I mean, he's a talented guy. And like I said, it's not the most prestigious list. So
I'm doing the list here. I can think of 5 players who were either Ring of Honor players or Brad Miller. So I think might not make the top 5, but he's top 10 maybe.
There you go. We'll take that. Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Okay, Brendan, we were texting about this a little bit before the show. And can you help the listeners and myself, to be completely honest? I put this out on social media. One person we haven't talked about is Kevin Herter. So can you talk about the Zach LaVine trade kicker situation, the TPE, the trade player exception, why the Kings didn't lose anything, even though they moved off of Kevin Herter and lost that contract because of the TPE? Can you kind of give a breakdown into how the flexibility that the Kings have with that money moving forward?
Yeah, so obviously a little bit complicated, but going to Chicago in this deal is Kevin Herter, and the Kings are getting back Zach LaVine there, obviously. So a difference in salary there that gives Chicago a TPE. But from the San Antonio side, you're moving De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin, obviously, to San Antonio, and you're only getting Sidi Sissoko back. So you're getting a extensive traded player exception there in return. But how these deals work, and also I think an important aspect of this is that this trade hasn't been finalized yet.
Right.
I'm sure that the other teams have incentives to try and get this done sooner rather than later, specifically San Antonio, obviously, getting the biggest active player in this deal. But the Kings could look to expand this, and these TPEs could fail to exist down the line because, again, this deal is not finalized, and they could try to maneuver things within the aspects of this deal before they make the call to the league. But essentially, when you're sending more salary to teams than what you are getting back, there are also TPEs involved here. And the Kings have a couple notable ones with a 16.8 million now, 12.8 million as well, and another TPE, and some smaller ones floating around the 6 million mark that I believe that they've had sitting there as well. Again, as long as this deal stays as currently reported and expected at this point. But the complication there is that you can't aggregate other salaries with these TPEs. You can't combine Trey Lyles, 8 million plus this 16 million, and all of a sudden you're up to 24. You would have to absorb a player straight up into that TPE. And obviously you would send out some other assets as well there. So that's why I think that, keeping an eye on them potentially expanding this deal rather than just straight up absorbing somebody, because the Collins money doesn't fit into that TPE. The Cam Johnson money doesn't fit into those TPEs quite. So that's why I think expanding the deal is something to keep tabs on a little bit, but those TPEs are definitely something to work with. And again, they just have more flexibility after making this Fox deal as the Thursday deadline approaches.
Talking to Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Brendan, what are your thoughts on Zach LaVine as a fit? I'm kind of worried a little bit about the Malik Monk, Zach LaVine thing. They both need the ball and shoot the ball a good bit. That's the only thing that kind of stuck out in my mind. What's your thought on the Zach LaVine fit?
Yeah, I think offensively that this team's going to be really good. I think that they kind of have the same weaknesses that they already did. And you're minus another, what I thought was pretty good perimeter defender in De'Aaron Fox. And by the way, I think his defense is going to look even better, obviously, when you have a backline like Wemby and get to be even more aggressive at the point of attack there, something that he never had in Sacramento. But I think that offensively, this team's going to be talented. It's just tough when you come off. I know it was OKC, number 1 team in the West, but they're kind of known for their defense. Not that they can't score, don't have the leading scorer on their team, but they just dropped 144 on your head. And that was a team that looked like they kind of checked out. There's all these rumors going on. I think that there could be a new energy around this group, similarly to when you saw they made the swap from Mike Brown to Doug Christie, kind of just a new spark with the team, a weight off their shoulders almost in a way. But I think that this team's going to be a bucket. Like they're almost Bulls West in a way, but there was no Malik Monk. Don't say that. I think there are differences because there was no Malik Monk in Chicago, and there was Domantas Sabonis is a better player than Nikola Vucevic. Domas, I think his biggest skill is making the players around him better, and I think that we're going to see the best version of Zach LaVine that we've seen throughout his career during in Sacramento here. He's a guy that's already putting up career numbers, I would guess, with a little motivation of trying to be like, hey, remember, I can do this. Somebody come save me a little bit. And obviously the Kings were the team to do that. But 44% from three on 7.3 a game for a Kings team that's flirting with bottom 5 in attempts and 3-point percentage. Like, that helps your offense. I just think defensively, you probably got even worse. And that was already your struggle. And you still don't have the wings forwards that, was part of De'Aaron's frustration on his way out the door. So again, why I think that there's probably more coming here. At least I think that's the only way this makes sense.
Brendan, are you surprised that, and obviously the money and then all the details there maybe didn't make this thing very easy, but again, getting Zach LaVine, and I know it's a 3-team deal and there are a lot of moving parts, but to your point, to even get Zach LaVine and, I don't know, a Patrick Williams from the Bulls, are you surprised that the Kings didn't get, and look, we'll see what happens with CD Sissoko. I mean, he's a young guy, 20 years old, but are you surprised that the Kings weren't able to get another player back that we know can play in the NBA?
Player-wise, a little bit, but I think that when you're going after that, other star player, if we're calling LaVine that, which I think is probably fair, that that's going to be your main piece when it comes to active players. I think I was a little more surprised by the draft capital that the Spurs own, and this is in the DeMar DeRozan sign-in trade, which funnily enough was a 3-team deal with these exact same 3 teams, where San Antonio ended up with a 2031 swap from the Kings. I was surprised they couldn't get that back. Also, their best assets were these Atlanta picks that they got the DeJounte Murray trade. DeJounte Murray not even on the Hawks anymore, but they have an Atlanta unprotected pick this year that looks very interesting. I think that has a lot of value around the league, especially with Jalen Johnson going out. And I want to say the other one is in 2027 as well. Like, they didn't get some of San Antonio's most valuable picks here. The 2031 Minnesota is intriguing. We'll see what happens with Ant at that point. But I think that's where I was more surprised by the return, because when you're trying to get another star, I get that that's going to be your main piece here. Some of the other things are going to look a little bit worse. But I would have hoped that their draft capital would have been a little bit better than what's essentially these 2 firsts and 5 seconds. But, I've also talked to people that thought with how everything is laid out and De'Aaron essentially saying, hey, it's San Antonio or nothing, which I got the same thing, that, maybe not the worst return, but I personally think it's the decision to try and remain competitive while, going through all this that maybe just makes it a little complicated.
Brandon, before we get you out of here, what are your thoughts and what are you hearing as far as the potential other moves for the Kings? Is it a backup center, the Valanciunas thing? Is it still that wing? I know I had heard playmaker and a wing. Is that what you're hearing? Is it back to the Cam Johnsons and John Collins situation? Any other names being thrown in the pile? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I think there's definitely reason to believe that the conversations that they previously had could be reignited. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go back for Cam Johnson, a guy that they've been known to really like. Again, we have until Thursday here, so the time's ticking there, and everybody in the league seems to expect Cam Johnson to be on another team here. So, I would guess that Sacramento's probably part of that bidding war, and they have more to work with now. Same, go back to John Collins. But I think that they could go in a handful of different directions here. And with Kevin Huerter's matching salary being gone, Trey Lyles was the other one there that you kind of expect to be part of a potential deal here. And that leaves you with the backup center a little bit open. I mean, you have Alex Len, but Trey Lyles also fills that role a bit. And he's one of the few forwards on this team that plays on a nightly basis. So I think that's where you enter the backup center conversation as well. But that could be more, complementary smaller pieces. It could be Day'Ron Sharp connected to, like, I've heard the idea of him also being part of a Cam Johnson trade, right. A young backup center there as well. So I think the backup center is something that is easier to figure out, and more so the highlight would be, don't be surprised to hear them revisit the same conversations that what we've been having for 2 years, Alan. But now they got more to work with.
Now they got more to work with now, but you also don't have De'Aaron Fox. Well, we're glad we have you, Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Be sure to check out all of Brendan's work on sacktownsports.com and follow him on social media. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you, Alan.
That was Brendan Nunez. On the other side, Jeff Garcia, Spurs beat reporter and host Locked On Spurs, also does work for KENS 5 TV in San Antonio. He joins us on the other side. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Monday Mayhem Grammy's back.
Today, we're giving away tickets to go watch the Sacramento Kings take on the Orlando Magic at the G1C.
Every single hour, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. all day today.
Listen 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with our live and local lineup
for a chance to win every hour at the top of the hour on the home of the Sacramento Kings. Sacktown Sports 1140.
Coach Doug Christie here for your truck headquarters, reminding you that every deal at Folsom Lake Ford is a slam dunk. Shop all your favorite models on sale now, including America's best-selling truck for over 47 years, Ford F-Series, plus a huge selection of Broncos, Bronco Sports, and all of Ford's award-winning SUVs at FolsomLakeFord.com. Listen, I know a great play when I see one. And if you want to save on a new Ford, you got to drive the lane straight to Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall. Right now, buy any new Ford with 0 down on approval of credit. Save big with low interest financing, and Folsom Lake Ford always pays top dollar for your trade. So hurry to Folsom Lake Ford, a 6-time Triple Crown winner for sales and service excellence. That's why they're my trusted dealer, and they should be yours too. Tell them Coach Doug Christie sent you, or shop them online at FolsomLakeFord.com.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884. Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Carrington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPFest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
Hi, I'm Justin Gingery from the law firm of Gingery, Hammer & Associates. When you have been injured by the fault of another, you will want advice you can trust. If you know an attorney you can trust, I hope you call that person. But if you don't, please call me. I promise I will be the attorney you can trust, along with my entire team. I have been helping accident survivors recover compensation for their injuries for 25 years, and we can help you. There is no charge for calling. If you have an injury, just call Gingery.
Keegan Murray near sidelines puts the ball in play to Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis dribble handoff to Fox. Drives it to the left elbow. Retreats to three-point range. Anthony Edwards stalking him. The Aaron's down to 4. Fires for 3. He's got a 60-point ball game. It's the most points any player has scored this season in the NBA. It's 126-126 as Fox delivers. 1:06 to go.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Thanks again to Brendan Nunez, our Sacktown Sports Kings insider. We are now joined by Jeff Garcia of KENS5 TV, Spurs beat reporter, also hosts Locked On Spurs. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem. Thank you for the invite, guys.
Jeff, let's start here. How in the world did the Spurs pull this off? I mean, you start with Stephon Castle, then Devin Vassell. We couldn't get a Keldon Johnson, Jeff? Come on, man. What happened?
I'm right there with you, Alan. I am absolutely at your side with this point. When the details were released, my first thought before I even opened the proverbial envelope was, all right, which players left the roster? That was my first thought. And I'm reading through the details. I see picks. Okay, not surprised there. Yeah, picks are going to be in there. Okay, at least the ATL picks. How about the Spurs unprotected ATL pick in this upcoming draft? Okay, not there. No players. City Sissoko, okay, but, not really proven yet. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think from the Spurs side of view, Brian Wright, GM here in San Antonio,
he did a masterful job. Seriously, I don't think he's done dealing, but as far as this deal is concerned, yeah, I think he did a bang-up job.
Talking to Jeff Garcia, KENS5 TV, Spurs beat reporter. Jeff, with that being said, we've been trying to figure out the Spurs approach here. So obviously you get De'Aaron Fox and you add him to the mix. I think that we get caught up when players get named untouchable, right? And when Stephon Castle was named untouchable, and we've done the same thing with Devin Carter and Cam Johnson, it's Devin Carter is untouchable for Cam Johnson. It's not that he's untouchable, period. Are there some players on this team for the Spurs that you feel like were untouchable for this Fox deal, but may not be untouchable for other players that the Spurs might be trying to acquire?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Is Steph Castle really untouchable in a Fox deal? You got a proven commodity, De'Aaron Fox, versus technically an unproven commodity, a rookie, Castle. Many project him to get to Fox's level, if not surpass it down the road. So I think for me, it would have been just an ugly pill to swallow if he was in the deal. I think he's close to it. If he projects to what many think he could become kind of a SGA light, then sure. But I don't know if we're there yet. The numbers are showing that he's going the right path, but time will tell. But as far as the label untouchable, I think he's getting close. I think, I don't mean to use his name, but Luka Doncic, something to that level, that level, then you throw in Castle. But no. I think for this particular deal, it was close, man. It was close. I would get it, and I understand if, why reports are coming out that Castle had to be a part of the deal. Totally understand that because you get an all-star guard and a piece to the Spurs rebuild they desperately needed. So, no. I think for this particular deal, I don't think he was on the untouchable level.
Talking to Jeff Garcia, KENS5 TV, Spurs beat reporter, also hosts Locked On Spurs. Jeff, do you feel when, they do the thing and Sports Center and all of the different outlets, they show the starting five. As far as the young guys are concerned, do you feel like the Spurs want to roll with these young guys and, this is going to be the starting lineup next season, or will some of these young guys be used to get maybe a big and create a big three out there in San Antonio?
I think you're right. They're on the right path. I think that's exactly where this path is taking us to. Because look, Spurs, small market team, historically been known to watching their money, the spending. You possibly could have that right now if Castle does emerge as the player that many think he'll become. So Castle, Fox, and Wemby, that's not a bad trio there. But barring that, you look at the roster and guys are going to have to start getting paid soon. Steph Castle's rookie extension. Wemby's going to get the max rookie extension. Fox, he'll likely sign an extension with San Antonio. So you're looking at, who's left? So you got your Keldon Johnsons, your Devin Vassell. If you look at those deals, those decline after they sign their recent extension, so they get cheaper on the books. So I think that those two guys, or three guys, probably throw in Jeremy Sohan, will be valuable trade pieces moving forward. And historically, the Spurs have done that. Look at DeJounte Murray. They flipped him when they got the two unprotected picks. Look at Derek White. They flipped him, and they got more first-round picks from Boston. Again, similar deals, extensions, traded down the road. When DeJounte was the player here in San Antonio, many thought, oh, no, he's not going to get traded. He's going to take, a sweetheart deal, for that. And, it happened. Atlanta wanted to give up those unprotected picks. So no, I would not say those three guys, if you're looking at Vassell, Keldon, I think those are three guys that can still move pieces. And you got to ask yourself this, too. Prior to the Fox deal, which, by the way, was officially announced right now as we speak by the San Antonio Spurs, so it's official now. Yeah. Many thought Devin was going to be the 1-2 punch with Wemby, but the book was still out. Can he emerge? He's been a little injury prone. He's inconsistent. But when he's consistent, my goodness, that's a 20-point-a-night scorer. So the book was still out on him. Now that you have a solid 1-2 punch, Wemby and Fox, where does that leave Devin? Does that push him, to the bench? who gets left off the bench, off the starting lineup now? What about CP3? What's going to happen with him? He came to San Antonio because he wanted to hoop. He wanted to get burned on that court. He didn't like his role with the Warriors. Is that now going to happen to him? Did the Spurs waive him? Let him go chase a ring somewhere else? So good problem to have here at San Antonio, but nevertheless, I do believe some of the younger pieces they have on board right now are going to be good chips to flip if the Spurs need to do that come this offseason or this week.
Yeah, could happen quickly. Talking to Jeff Garcia, KENS5 TV Spurs beat reporter, hosts Locked On Spurs as well. And as Jeff mentioned, it is official from both sides, the Kings side as well. De'Aaron Fox is gone. And Zach LaVine is in the building. De'Aaron Fox is out in that river walk in San Antonio. I still got to get out there, Jeff, and check all that out. Jeff, as far as the other players, obviously Wembanyama is going to be generational, right? Prior to the De'Aaron Fox situation, were you hearing about De'Aaron Fox before he came out and said, this is where I want to go? Were you hearing about De'Aaron Fox? And were there any other players that the Spurs were targeting, I guess, from a guard or number 2 position?
Right. Funny you say number 2. He'd be wearing number 2 in San Antonio.
Right.
So that'll be his new jersey there. Yes, the Fox rumblings were popping up before, it really got heated. So, you were hearing a lot of that, like Fox to San Antonio. Everybody pointed to the connections he has in San Antonio from, his partner from San Antonio, grew up near San Antonio in Katy, Texas. A couple of years ago, during the All-Star break, I think this kind of went under the radar. When there were the media huddles there, he mentioned the Spurs a lot. He talked about how, as a young kid, he would go and watch the Spurs Big Three, Duncan, Manu, and Tony, watch them hoop. This is another thing too. He flew in young women high school players to his camps in Sacramento that were from San Antonio to help him run it. And he also said that one of his favorite players is Manu Ginobili. So you put all those tea leaves together, he definitely would like to come to San Antonio, and it happened.
Right.
So yes, as far as the other guards are concerned, sure, you heard the rumblings of Darius Garland. Trae Young was a big one too. I remember that. It was a fever pitch in San Antonio. But ultimately, I think the Spurs got exactly what this team needed for their rebuild. Scoring guard. A guy can lift some of the pressure off of Wemby because he can't do it all by himself. Then again, I would not be surprised if he could at this rate that he's going. But you have a guy that can run that pick and roll with him. My goodness, you thought CP3 and Wemby was going to be deadly combo. What about Fox and Wemby? They got 2 guys right now that can run the pick and roll with him. Hit that mid-range shot, hit the long ball, run in transition, score in transition, get the transition going. That's exactly what the Spurs needed. Now, it's a good piece for the rebuild, but are they out of the woods yet? No. I still think they lack quality bigs. They really don't have any. And you can see the effects on Wemby when he has to sit out and then he comes back in. He looks a little gassed at times. Floor spreading is another big one the Spurs definitely need, but I believe Jordan McLaughlin that came from Sacramento.
Right.
I think that could help in the interim. I don't know if that's just a Band-Aid, but the Spurs desperately need floor spacing. When Wemby is perhaps one of your biggest floor spacers, your best floor spacers, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. You need that guy that can knock down the long-range ball. They have it somewhat in Julian Champagnie. He's been kind of erratic of late. He looks like he's trending back up. So that's good. But no. Good piece of the rebuild. Are they out of the woods yet? Not quite yet, but they're there.
Well, look, Jordan McLaughlin wasn't getting any time on the Kings, so maybe you guys can utilize him. And I don't want to hear that about Julian Champagnie because he sure does find that 3-ball out here in Sacramento whenever he faces the Kings.
And you know what, guys? As much as the Spurs fans were rejoicing the deal and whatnot, there was still a big chunk of them that kind of felt for you guys out in Sacramento, the fan base, because it wasn't to this level. But Kawhi Leonard situation, that was a mess. But a lot of Spurs fans felt the fan base's pain in Sacramento. They understood what y'all were going to go through. And and by the way, yes, you have a few disgruntled Sacramento Kings that are going to the Locked On Spurs YouTube page and leaving some not for radio comments about Fox. So listen, there's a lot of hurt feelings, and I get it. But here's my question for you guys: will Fox get booed or just applauded when he returns to Sacramento as a Spur?
I don't, what is that, March 5th? I think I looked it up. I don't think he'll get booed. I hope he doesn't get booed. And I don't think so. I'd like to. I feel pretty good about the Kings fan base, and they'll appreciate De'Aaron Fox. I think the one thing, Jeff, before we get you out of here is De'Aaron Fox in the question of the effort every single night. That was the thing that I think if you see you probably heard the don't make De'Aaron Fox mad thing. And we heard about that with Mike Brown. If he's quote unquote mad every game and you're just seeing a new level of Fox, I think that's the one thing that might turn Kings fans off to this, but it all remains to be seen. Jeff Garcia, thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely do this again, probably when they face each other in March, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you got my number. Just give me a call. I'll talk to you later, guys.
There you go. Jeff Garcia, KENS5 TV, Spurs beat reporter, host, Locked On Spurs. We are joined by Sam Smith of Bulls.com, author of the Jordan Rules book. Covered the Bulls for 40 years. What are the Bulls trying to do here? We talked to Sam and try to figure that out. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Is your garage door stuck in the winter blues? Well, February is the perfect time to give it some love. Jason Ross here to tell you about the Overhead Door Company of Sacramento. And they're here to keep your garage door running smoothly. This February, they're spreading the love with their Sweetheart Special, $150 off a garage door with the purchase of a garage door opener. Now, the experts at Overhead Door Company of Sacramento provide fast, reliable service that's always on time and always done right. From squeaky hinges to full door replacements, they've got you covered. So don't let your garage door be the heartbreaker this season. Visit overheaddoorofsacramento.com for your free estimate. You can get in touch with them at 916-421-3747. Overhead Door Company of Sacramento, opening doors to your home and your hearts this February and all throughout the year. Overhead Door Company of Sacramento, the genuine, the original overhead door. Always look for the red ribbon logo.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Right now at Wendy's, get 2 of these fave items for just $7. The spicier classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single, or 10-piece nugs. It's an incredible deal, but an insanely difficult choice. Do you go double chicky sando, both spicy and classic, 1 beefy and 1 chicky? Or maybe you go all in on one and go Nug Max. 2 faves for just $7? Gotta be Wendy's.
At participating Wendy's for limited time only. Select a request 2 for $7 deal to redeem. Not valid in a combo or with saucy nugs. Single item at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper from Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. I've had my all-electric SUV for a little more than a year, and I continue to love it day after day. In fact, me and my daughter, we were just on vacation not too long ago, and we rented a car while we were on the trip, and my daughter said, Dad, I like your car better. I turned to her and said, honey, you know what? I like it better as well, and I couldn't wait to get back home to my Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. You know, at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, they are more than just a dealership. They're a partner you can trust throughout the entire ownership of your luxury vehicle. Whether it's a refined C-Class or a versatile SUV lineup, your perfect Mercedes-Benz is there waiting for you. Plus, right now, you can enjoy 3.24% APR for up to 72 months on certified pre-owned models on approved credit. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is your trusted partner in luxury and reliability, and they've been doing it for more than 30 years. So head on down right now to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton or online anytime at mbofstockton.com. That's mbofstockton.com.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
$15 more minutes in the third hour. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports. Again, the trade being official has led to some decisions being made for the Chicago Bulls as well as the other teams involved. The Bulls waived Torrey Craig and old friend Chris Duarte as they look to continue to figure out their next steps. And Sam Smith of Bulls.com, author of Jordan Rule's book, who's covered the Bulls for 40 years, joins us to break all this down. Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Good to talk to you.
Sam, let's start here. What would you say, just from the outside looking in, to give us kind of a view into it? What do you think the Bulls' vision is right now, looking at what they got back in the trade as they get Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back? What's the Bulls' vision right now?
Blurry. It's finally, and I'm not a huge fan of those things. It's sort of a blow it up, pick a lane kind of thing about, nobody likes to call them rebuilds these days, but, they kind of ran out the string with these guys. And the players they got, I assume they'll try to move if they can, include them in deals, try to pick up draft picks. We've all seen sort of that routine, hoping to get lucky. Cooper Flag, they actually got a pretty good rookie. Buzelis in this draft actually slipped around 10 or 11, wherever they picked, and it looks like he'll be a good player. They tried to keep this thing going a couple of years, but Zach had some injuries, not major. And I will say, those two guys, Zach and DeMar, are two of the best people I've been around in basketball. They're both really, now fans only care if they can play well.
Right.
And I think Zach particularly has been probably as underappreciated as any player in the league. He is really good. You'll see some of the best shot making you've ever seen. And I know the Kings have been interested a long time. They offered him they gave him an offer sheet in 2018, I think it was, at the Bulls match when he was restricted free agent. And then he had some minor things, compared to the major thing he had. But that's another thing. He had ACL surgery in 2017 with Minnesota right before the trade to Chicago initially. And nobody in the history of the game has ever come back from ACL surgery with the explosiveness of Zach.
Yeah.
He could be in the dunk contest again. And, we've seen him do it a couple of times, but he's as undervalued a player in the NBA as there is. And if you see his numbers this year, I think you'll see how good they've been.
Talking to Sam Smith of Bulls.com. Sam, were you surprised, and you kind of answered this just with the Kings being a part of this conversation with the offer sheet to LaVine, but were you surprised at all at where LaVine eventually went? I know there are some Warrior fans that thought that he would end up out there in the Bay Area. Were you surprised at where he ended up, or did you feel like Sacramento was always in play because they're just kind of always interested in Zach LaVine?
Yeah, I think that was one element. The previous interest, Zach's name has been mentioned, in connection with Sacramento before. But I think it was the De'Aaron Fox thing. I don't think it would have occurred, because, for whatever's been going on here in Chicago with Zach and management, and, there's been some underlying stuff that I don't fully understand. And probably has to do with he was part of the previous regime and then management changed, and it becomes our guys and their guys kind of thing. And
right.
So they've been trying to move Zach actually for a couple of years, for the most part, and the deal wouldn't have been possible until Fox, and I don't know what he did, if he made a trade demand or they realized they weren't going to be able to sign him or what happened. I don't know what happened, there with you guys, with him. But the Bulls needed somewhere to offload Zach's salary, 40-some million, and that was the anchor for them. They got a max contract a few years ago, and they couldn't do anything with Golden State because they just didn't have the numbers.
Right.
And it looked like they had a deal with the Lakers actually about a month ago, and it seemed, from what I heard, it was pretty close. And then the Lakers didn't want to take on the money and traded for Finney Smith. And now, obviously, it's worked out since they ended up with Doncic.
Yeah.
So maybe they knew at the time that was part of it. Why it didn't go through. But they needed some big salary to move somewhere. And then once the De'Aaron Fox got in play, then I think it smoothed the path for it.
Sam Smith, Bulls.com. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get you out of here, there are people calling the Kings the Sacramento Bulls, right? Because now you got DeRozan, and now you have obviously Zach LaVine. There are a couple pieces. Obviously we have Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk. Do you think that and we hope that the Kings make another move, but do you think that the Sacramento Bulls can make any noise in this Western Conference, or will this just end up being an eventual rebuild as well?
No, I actually think they can. They have to make a couple of moves, and people in Sacramento wouldn't be naturally aware. But this group with DeRozan, LaVine, and Sabonis is sort of a Vucevic.
Right. Right.
I can understand why they see it that way. They were leading the Eastern Conference when they got put together. They had the best record in the East going into just right before the All-Star break in, 21-22 season. And then Lonzo Ball got hurt.
Right.
I could fix the Kings, if they would let me. Actually, they should try to they can't get him now, but, they should add somebody like Lonzo Ball, because they need a point guard and they need a defensive player. And that's been the blind spot with the Kings. I watched them a lot, this year a lot because of DeMar. They've been offensive team, and then they picked up DeMar, who was a more offensive player. They didn't need him,
right?
But they need some defense. But if you could get, a guy like Lonzo Ball, and he looks like he's going to be healthy and coming back, it's remarkable. And then if you could get a 4, kind of like a Nick Claxton or Isaiah Stewart, some physical defensive guy to support Sabonis, that team could be a competitor in the Western Conference on the top. They just need a couple of defensive pieces to support, Zach and DeMar and the Sabonis, in which the Bulls were. The Bulls were leading the Eastern Conference before Lonzo got hurt. So that formula is possible. They just need a couple of the peripheral pieces.
Sam Smith, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to your Chicago Bulls. He's covered the Bulls for 40 years, Bulls.com, author of Jordan Rules book. Sam, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Good luck. Say hello. DeMar and Zach are both wonderful people.
Will do. Thank you so much. That was Sam Smith. On the other side, we hand out grades for the trades. We give you some updates on Zach LaVine. Okay, he will be, or it appears that he will be joining the Kings on Wednesday, and you could be in the building as well with that ticket giveaway when we return. I'm trying to give a heads up to those on the Sacktown Sports app as well. So hopefully this is enough of a lead up. So when we come back, we will do that ticket giveaway. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Right now at Wendy's, get 2 of these fave items for just $7. The spicier classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single, or 10-piece nugs. It's an incredible deal, but an insanely difficult choice. Do you go double chicky sando, both spicy and classic, 1 beefy and 1 chicky? Or maybe you go all in on one and go Nug Max. 2 faves for just $7? Gotta be Wendy's.
At participating Wendy's for limited time only. Select a request 2 for $7 deal to redeem. Not valid in a combo or with saucy nugs. Single item at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? You were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. 1 item purchased equals 1 item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Oh, I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Discover unbeatable value at Folsom Buick GMC's President's Day sale. Enjoy a 20-year, 200,000-mile powertrain warranty for lasting peace of mind. Lease the 2025 GMC Sierra EV for just $859 per month. Limited stock available. Save up to $12,750 on the Sierra Denali. Offers end March 3rd, 2025. Visit Folsom Buick GMC, your EV headquarters for power, performance, and savings. Call now before these deals are gone.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on SingleCare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. Single Care works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check Single Care to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
114. Kings out of timeouts. They use their last one for the challenge. Fox advances the dribble across the logo. 5 seconds to go. It's all on his shoulders. Fox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple. 7/10 of a second remaining. The three-point shot will be reviewed. It's not over yet, but fourth quarter Fox has come through one more time.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
3 hours down, 1 to go. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. Been a heck of a show, a lot of guests, fully loaded, and the reports are still coming out. Some of you jumped the gun. You know how this works. Doesn't count until we say those magic words, and the magic words are about to be said. Per league source, the Kings are expecting Zach LaVine to make his Sacramento debut Wednesday night when the team hosts the Orlando Magic. And we want you in the building. We are giving away tickets to be in Golden One Center for the first game of the Zach LaVine era. 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140. Caller number 4 to get those tickets and be in the building for Zach LaVine's first game with the Sacramento Kings. Caller number 4, Kyle will take care of you. And we're going to clear those phone lines once Kyle does find that winner, because we haven't heard from you in a while. We had Brendan Nunez, of course, and then we had Jeff Garcia for the Spurs, Sam Smith of the Bulls. But we want to get back to your calls in this last hour. We do have Sean Cunningham coming up in about 15 minutes. And Sean was the one who reported that the Kings are aggressively pursuing somebody else. Okay, so that will be talked about in about 15 minutes. What obviously Sean can't tell us everything, but what ideas does Sean have as far as who the Kings may be looking for? So we will have all of that for you. Looks like Kyle may have found a winner, so we're going to clear those phone lines so we can get some calls in as far as how you're feeling, because a couple things have happened, right? It's official now. It was not official when we spoke with Brendan Nunez, but the trade is official. De'Aaron Fox is gone. There are trade grades to be given out. All right. And the Kings, if I were to give a grade for the Kings, I would say INC. That is something that I've gotten on my papers before. And what does that stand for? I don't know if the kids even get grades these days, or if, there's still a red pen. The red pens still get used. INC for incomplete. Okay. So if nothing else happens and the trade deadline comes and goes, I can't see giving the Kings anything better than a B- based on leverage or lack thereof. A B-, closer to a C+ than a B-. If they don't do anything else, it's a B- that if they do go out and get somebody with the flexibility that they added, even though these picks aren't perfect, could easily be a B+, A-. I don't think that is out of the realm of possibility. But right now it's an incomplete. The Spurs, they get an A. They absolutely get an A. They were able to add De'Aaron Fox and lose none of their young pieces and lose none of their better picks that they have right now. They didn't even have to give back the swap with the Kings. So they get an A. The Bulls, really not sure what the Bulls are trying to do. Sam Smith of Bulls.com was trying to figure that out as well. I'll give the Bulls a C+, or maybe a B- just for moving off of LaVine, and now they can kind of start the process of tearing that bad boy down. So maybe they just get a B- for moving off of LaVine and not having to give. At one point, we were talking about giving something up for or giving up a pick or giving money as well as moving on from LaVine. So Bulls, I guess, get a B- just for finally closing the chapter on DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. So Kings get an INC. If you're making me give them a grade, it's a B-, C+, that could become an A- when this is all said and done. But we're not sure yet. We don't know.
I said earlier that the Sacramento Kings got like 70 cents on the dollar for De'Aaron Fox. So I guess in that sense, they probably deserve a C for how this all turned out. I also just was not in favor of trading De'Aaron Fox before the deadline. Even as awkward as everything was here, maybe they got more than they would have gotten in the offseason just because you would have been on the clock. But
yeah,
I mean, they didn't get the Godfather offer. They didn't get the deal that they were trying to shop for De'Aaron Fox weeks ago, allegedly. And so I don't understand why they had to make the move now, other than they didn't think they were going to ever get a better offer than this. So yeah, I guess call that a C. Spurs getting an A, sure. I mean, they didn't have to give up any of their current guys. Now, I don't know if those current guys will be
me neither
part of their core to win a championship. So, maybe it doesn't even help that they kept all these guys. Maybe eventually they're going to have to clear them out anyways in some sort of trade. And like you said, actually, like Sam said right off the bat, what is the Chicago Bulls plan? It's blurry, but Chicago this is the funniest part of that. Chicago got back the first round pick.
Right.
They gave to San Antonio for DeMar DeRozan, which is kind of crazy when you think of that in hindsight. I saw some Bulls people were saying the Bulls traded Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine and got 0 first-round picks out of all of that. So I don't know. The Bulls just are kind of along for the ride. They finally had someone willing to take Zach LaVine.
Yeah, and I think that's why they're sitting at a B-, C+ situation. Kyle, a lot of people we're trying to figure out, do we have one more giveaway before this is all said and done? Do we have one more?
I believe we will have one more giveaway.
Okay, so we have one more giveaway again.
If we do, it'll be at the end of the show.
Yeah, and again, if you're listening on the app, let's go for 145. 145. So if you're listening on the app, 145. Okay. And a lot of people are calling. Some people, is this a scam? No, it's not a scam. 1,000 people are calling. And by the way, we have our winner. So please clear the phone lines. Hang up if you are calling for the tickets. Call back at 145. If you want to talk Kings, do not hang up and we will get to you. All right. So we're trying to clear the phone lines because a lot of people have some things to say. We have Sean Cunningham coming up at 1:15. We have Luke on the SAC chat. Stiles, what is the identity you see this team having? Just go for 140 points a game? ? Again, I feel like we're all stuck. There's a game tonight, and I don't even know what the use is of doing a game preview because this isn't a game. This isn't a team or the team that we're going to see, right? So there is just a weird feeling here with the team because they're shorthanded. I think the cloud is gone, but they're shorthanded. That's number one. And number two, we don't know if the Kings are done, period. So to Luke, I can't really answer your question. That's what it seems like right now, but they might go out and get somebody else. So I don't know what their identity is because they're not done yet.
And not to do some pocket watching, but there's a scenario where if they do lose tonight, they're trying to make a charge from the 11th seed, despite the fact that in the short term, the Kings did not get better by trading away De'Aaron Fox. So that, that goodwill that they built up with the 7-game winning streak is now gone at this point.
It's gone.
Which is, not the most shocking thing in the world when you just traded your star player.
And look, that was the other thing I was going to say when you were talking, Kyle, just about why the Kings moved De'Aaron. And I said this last night on the live stream when everything went down. Yeah, if you just lose like a normal loss against the Thunder, maybe this thing continues, but I just think they were all, it was just, and Jason Anderson, and if you missed the Jason Anderson interview, you can check that out on YouTube or the Sacktown Sports app. Jason Anderson, who was out there with the team, I think that did have a decent bit to do with it. You couldn't continue even for 2 more games. It was just embarrassing. It was just everybody, they couldn't force the team to continue to go through that.
The deal was already the deal, right? I mean, we can kind of say it now. Levine was the player we were kind of hearing on Friday being the guy in the trade. So that was the original structure. Now, I forgot which Spurs reporter it was that reported that the original deal had Keldon, and then Keldon became what is the second round pick that the Kings ended up getting, whose name I'm blanking on right now.
The CD.
CD.
Yes.
CD was the person who ended up. So basically the structure of the trade was the same, but at the same time, it was either make that trade or don't make the trade at all. I mean, the structure was pretty much the same over the weekend, even if the Kings got the doors blown off by Oklahoma City and everyone kind of knew it was going to be their last game together.
Yeah, and CD's younger than Keldon. I'll give you that. He's 20. We'll see. He's 6'6".
Second-year player.
Let's go.
Second-round draft pick.
Let's go.
I don't know. But to your point, though, you were mentioning, make the trade at all. They got, say, 70 cents on the dollar, and maybe they only would have gotten 50 cents on the dollar this offseason. It feels like Levine was always going to be available. They could have always had Levine even this offseason. They didn't get any of the Spurs' 6 best players out of the trade. So I kind of look at it like you got some extra draft picks for 3 months of De'Aaron Fox potentially. And honestly, I would have liked to have had 3 more months of De'Aaron Fox. Even if it didn't go the way they thought it would, I would have liked to have just played it out with De'Aaron Fox if this was the offer they were going to take.
This is from GM Monty McNair, comments on trading De'Aaron Fox and acquiring Zach LaVine. De'Aaron has played a pivotal, here's a quote, De'Aaron has played a pivotal role with our franchise, and we are deeply grateful for everything he did to support the organization on and off the court, said General Manager Monty McNair. We appreciate Kevin's many contributions to the team, especially as a key member of the 2023 playoff team. We also thank Jordan for his hard work and commitment during his time with the Kings. As we look to the future, I'm excited to welcome Zach to Sacramento. He is a gifted scorer, and his athleticism will make an impact on both ends of the floor. We also look forward to CD joining the Kings, close quote. On the other side, we get back to your calls, 916-339-1140. Sean Cunningham will be joining us at 1:30. So that means more time for your calls before we get into what Sean has to say about the next moves the Kings might make. Allen Stiles Show, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento, Zach LaVine, and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SacktownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health, and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free, and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Fox wearing the familiar number 5, creeping forward on the right wing. Crosses to the right, steps back, launches the 3. He's got the triple. De'Aaron Fox has become the great greatest scorer in Sacramento Kings history. He has 57 points, and the Kings lead 118-115.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Sean Cunningham joins us in 15 minutes. 916-339-1140. Let's open back up the phone lines. And, I'm just rereading De'Aaron's goodbye, what Sabonis had to say. And I don't know that it's necessarily hit me that De'Aaron is gone. The show started, and, I'm always hyped up on coffee when the show starts, and my mind is going a million miles a minute. But as this thing kind of settles in here, and it really has been going a million miles a minute since last night. So the news breaks, we hop on live. I was also on TikTok live for the first time. We hop on live for about an hour, so I don't even know how long it was. I get hit up by Dave that KCRA might want to do something. So I get off live, I shave, I change, we drive to Doco, we do the KCRA hit, come home, watch it, go to sleep, wake up, come in, and we're hitting up a bunch of people to get these guests on. And I'm still kind of trying to come to terms with everything. And I feel like there have been so many waves of emotion, not just with me, but with some of the callers and, with you, Kyle, as well, and with those that we've had on. And does it feel, and of course it was going to feel like this, does it feel unceremonious with De'Aaron Fox that I don't know how I was expecting it to happen, but, a Sunday night right after the Luka thing, and, you get smacked. There was the sleepwalking the last couple games, and it just goes away. I don't know. It just feels odd. The whole thing feels odd.
I think I was expecting it to happen unceremoniously, but unceremoniously in the summer, where we were going to have like a month of buildup to a De'Aaron Fox trade, because we would hear in May that they weren't going to re-sign, or inclinations weren't. Then we were going to get to the draft, and they were probably going to take a point guard, and we were going to be like, what does this mean for De'Aaron Fox? And then we would have gotten to July and August, and then we would have had the trade. So the fact that it all just happened in 4 days after we spent 4 weeks talking about John Collins or Cam Johnson, and now just like that, it's over. That's the part to me that feels unceremonious. But I think the wave of emotion and the gravity of it hit me pretty quickly, because I knew that this was the end of an era. And sure, the Kings might end up doing something with Zach LaVine, or might end up doing something with this group. But like, the Beam team meant something really special to me. And so for the Beam team to now be over and it's never coming back, even when Mike Brown got fired, it felt like it was an end of an era, but now obviously it's end of the era, period, no continuing sentence. That's the part that's hit me emotionally ever since the beginning, but I think that the unceremonious part of it was just how fast it all happened.
A lot of people on the SAC chat are chiming in, and 916-339-1140 if you want to be a part of the conversation, that they feel like De'Aaron Fox checked out after Mike Brown was fired. I'm not necessarily going to agree or disagree on that. Because we had these the reason I'm not necessarily in that camp is because we had these conversations of De'Aaron being in and out as far as just being fully engaged when Mike Brown was the coach. If De'Aaron was the type of guy, so I guess, and I'm not trying to say this in a disrespectful way, it's kind of hard to tell when De'Aaron is not engaged or not, because we had these conversations with Mike Brown as the coach. If De'Aaron was just 100% fully engaged every single game under Mike Brown, and then you saw some of the things that you saw where, hey, is De'Aaron going to play right now or what's going on here, then I would be with you. But this has been a De'Aaron Fox issue for a while. And, when you do a show, to peel back the curtain, when I talk to some of my mentors and things like that, there are situations where you sit there and you say, hey, Allen, or hey, whoever, it's not that that's a bad point. It's a point that's not a point that should be made today, right? And when you talk about some of the shortcomings of De'Aaron Fox on a day where, you know, we can celebrate De'Aaron, I wonder if some of my mentors would say, hey, this is a day to simply celebrate De'Aaron Fox. But as I continue to grow and to mature into whoever I'm going to be on these airwaves, my job as well is to read what the audience and what the listeners and what the fans are saying. And on a day like today, where De'Aaron has been very polarizing because he is maybe that shade under superstar, the reason he has been polarizing is simply because there are nights where he's not that dude, right? There's a completely different conversation happening with Dallas Mavericks fans because everybody in Dallas thought that Luka was that dude. The conversation in Sacramento is a little bit different because we're having just as much of a conversation about what you lost for De'Aaron than actually losing De'Aaron. If you've been rocking with us for the last 4 hours or for the last 3.5 hours, so much of this has more so been about what the Kings got back, not necessarily losing De'Aaron. If we were to do this as far as percentages, right, I'd say maybe 30, maybe 40% of callers have actually talked about missing De'Aaron and wanting to hold on to De'Aaron, whereas the 60 to 70% is about what you got back for De'Aaron. So I think that's what makes this whole thing interesting as far as what the Kings are going to do next. He's probably the best King. He is the best King since Boogie, possibly the best King since Chris Webber. And the phone lines are about what you didn't get back, not necessarily about how much you're going to miss De'Aaron Fox. We've had those calls, don't get me wrong, but we haven't had as many calls as I'm sure the Dallas radio is having about Luka, who hasn't been in Dallas as long as De'Aaron has been in Sacramento. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Corey. Wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, Corey? What you got for us?
Hey, thanks for having me. 2 points. One, all respect to De'Aaron Fox. He was probably one of the best players we've ever drafted and did lift us out of a slump for 16 years, finally make the playoffs. So, all respect to him. Mm-hmm. I will say that scratching my head, looking at this season and why we were struggling when we had a roster that seemed so much better, I do start to get a little conspiracy theorist thinking, okay, did Fox know he was out in the summer? And, this season was just, let me put in my best effort. But honestly, I'm going to be out. I'm just wondering if Mike Brown gets hired as the Spurs head coach this summer, I think we're all going to look at the situation a little bit differently. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Corey. And again, that's what is confusing to me. They extend Mike Brown. During the summer. So was it a matter of, they kept my guy, but I'm still maybe on the way out? So I think a lot's going to come out within these next couple weeks and months, and people, will get new reports, and people will say, we don't care. It's all over with now. But the one reason, and I know it's a kind of a funny reason, but the one reason I'm not really on board with the De'Aaron checked out thing is because unless you're going to say he's been checked out for the last couple years, as long as I've been covering the team, we've seen De'Aaron do the disappearing act before. That's just who he's been. It's not something that just started with him not signing the extension. So again, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. It's just that has been an issue with De'Aaron being engaged. So that is that to me, I can't look at that and say, oh yeah, De'Aaron he definitely checked out last season because or going into this season, because we've seen him do that before. 916 saying, why are we acting like Levine is not a good player? Him and Monk will work well together. I don't think anybody is saying that. I think that the idea was adding to De'Aaron Fox. You lose De'Aaron Fox, and now all you have is Zach LaVine. So somebody's going to step up, and you still have bench issues. You still have length issues. So I don't think it's about Zach LaVine. I think it's about that not being enough. And you don't have picks. You don't have high value picks for the future. Sean Cunningham joins us on the other side. And we asked Sean, what do you mean by that as far as the Kings continuing to be aggressive? Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SactownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Hey, it's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, and the regular season is over, but the high hand bonuses, those are not. $500 per primetime football game, whether it's weekend, Monday night, whatever it may be. And those bonuses available until the season ends, including the big game on February 9th. Capital Casino, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Fall head over boots in love with music this Valentine's Day. Get ready for Sacramento's premier country music festival, Country in the Park, returning May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo with Bailey Zimmerman, Billy Currington, and more. Enjoy food trucks, mechanical bulls, and line dancing. Tickets start at just $52. Visit CITPfest.com. Brought to you by Hyatt Vacation Club. Don't just say, I love you. Show it with music. Buy tickets now.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-887-1010. 800-887-1010.
It was 1879 when the first President's Day was established, and it's been a holiday ever since. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. I'm guessing when the Keys family opened the first Naturewood Home Furnishing store in 1948, a President's Day sale was not top of the mind. But the family probably celebrated the holiday with a picnic and a big slice of cherry pie. The store name Naturewood was selected to reflect the quality of the wood furniture for sale. And that focus on quality continues today with brands like Flex Steel, Trailway, Stickley, Fusion Designs, Stanton, and many, many more. The Naturewood Home Furnishings President's Day sale is the perfect time for you to find the right accent piece for your living room, a new bed for your bedroom, or to completely refurnish your entire home. See all the fine furniture and accessories on sale with Naturewood's President's Day sale. Find that perfect piece of furniture that's new today and filled with memories for tomorrow. Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 in Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Everyone has a past, but what happens if you've made mistakes and made good on that past, but it keeps following you? Are you looking for an attorney to erase past records and restore your rights? Maybe even restore your gun rights? Do you need a reputable criminal defense attorney who knows even good people make bad mistakes? Well, the attorneys at Gonzalez Law Office are here to help. Find Gonzalez Law Office online at saclegaldefense.com. Or call them at 916-304-9187. We don't settle for less, and neither should you.
Listen for the Toyota Tahoe Report every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with Johnny Mosley to get the latest weather conditions in Tahoe throughout this snow season. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
30 more minutes with you. Whitey Gleason joins us for some crosstalk in about 15 minutes. But right now, we are joined by Sean Cunningham, sports reporter for Fox 40. Sean, thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, Alan? How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you for taking the time. I know everybody is running around, so we really do appreciate it. As always, let's not waste any time here, Sean. Let's just give you the floor to kind of talk about De'Aaron Fox's legacy for a moment. What's his legacy in Sacramento?
I actually didn't expect that question, but it's something I've been asked a few times including on the air last night on Fox 40 by my coworker Andrew Martin, and it's one that I really don't have a great answer for.
Yeah.
And at least in my opinion, and I think the best I can come up with is a little bit of an incomplete legacy, because look, I mean, this guy came in, in his heartfelt message he put on Instagram today, I mean, he talked about it coming in here as a kid and leaving a man, 27 years old. He's been an all-star. There were such high hopes when he came here. He wanted to be here. This was a perfect situation for him to land. And in doing so, let's face it, over the course of those 8 years, he played with some pretty bad, young, upcoming teams that a lot of people saw a lot of potential in. Clearly had some raw talent that was around him that needed to be kind of developed and put together, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get there, you've only got one playoff run, and it ended with a 7-game series to the Warriors in that opening round series 2 years ago. So, yeah, you saw it. You kind of saw them build around him a little bit. You kind of saw what they really needed since that playoff exit. And I think the most disgruntling part is the fact that they weren't able to find what they desperately needed after that playoff series. Clearly, the addition of DeMar DeRozan is one that I lauded, and look, I still think it was a great move for Sacramento to get and to pair him with De'Aaron Fox, even though there's people who concerns about the fit and all that, but it was everything that was needed in that regard in terms of stability in the fourth quarter, another fourth quarter score, free throw percentage, all that stuff. I could see that working. That made sense to me. But certainly size and athleticism continues to be the problem that this team would run into. And I feel like it feels incomplete that you didn't really give him that during his time here. And there'll always be that what if question.
Talking to Sean Cunningham, sports reporter for Fox 40, covers the Kings, all things Sacramento. Let's move to the actual trade now, Sean. What were your initial thoughts on the trade? And I guess those are two separate questions. What was your initial thoughts on the trade? And then once everything broke down, your most recent thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, I mean, just playing a GM here on the radio, which I would be awful at, full transparency. But I think I share a lot of Kings fans' reaction to where, oh, that's it. Maybe thinking that you were going to get a little bit more in the terms of maybe some first-round capital that comes to you that might carry a little bit more weight than what you currently have. I mean, clearly that Hornets pick is going to become 2 second-round picks. So you end up really with 5 second-round picks, which is nothing to, bat an eye at, especially with the 2 unprotected first-round picks that you got that are later on down the road. But I'm a little surprised you couldn't get your pick swap back. I'm a little surprised that you didn't get somebody. Look, Stephon Castle, I didn't think was going to happen at all. I mean, I can understand why the Spurs would not want to move him. But, thinking of somebody like Devin Vassell or even a Jeremy Sohan or, something like that might have been able to be pieced in there. Clearly the Zach LaVine piece, you're getting the second best player in the deal, which you were never going to get the first best player in the deal. That was going to be De'Aaron Fox. So wrapping your head around that and statistically, knowing what Zach LaVine is doing, he's having a tremendous year. This is a guy who had ACL surgery years ago, became an all-star in the wake of that ACL surgery. So this is a guy that's been coveted by members of this organization. They signed that 4-year, $78 million offer sheet that Chicago matched just hours later to get him to keep him in Chicago. And he even signed a bigger contract after that. And yeah, I mean, you've got some stability there. You've got a big time scorer who's all of a sudden efficient. He's always been somewhat efficient, but he's been kind of a chucker. And obviously there's questions about the durability of him with his injury past, but I like Zach LaVine as a player. I can see that working in terms of replacing De'Aaron Fox, and you're getting a big time scorer and a guy who's just a little bit older, and that's fine. He's still in the prime of his career, in my opinion. But, I did think you could have probably got a little bit more. I expected maybe there to be a little bit more. But, at the end of the day, they felt that they needed to make this move, and it was a necessary thing that they had to do. And I don't know if, how many people you've talked to, but so many people I've talked to over the past few days, particularly in the wake of that loss to Oklahoma City, is that things felt like a funeral. Like this had been expected to come, and it was clearly impacting this team. And so I think it became necessary. I don't know that they felt that they could take this into the summer. And, there might be those that say, hey, you could have probably got a better deal later in the summer. That may or may not be true, but I feel like from a pieces standpoint, from what you currently have with this roster and their desire to still build around the roster that they have and to remain competitive, I think that just pointed all signals to making it happen. And he gets to go to the place he wanted to go all along. He's obviously his wife is from there. They've got family in the area. It's going to be a comfortable landing spot for him that he can absolutely be sensational with somebody like Victor Wembanyama, and they've got a bright future. But Sacramento now has a lot of pressure on it to make their futures just as bright now with the capital that they have to try and go out and build around this roster. And because one thing's for certain, they do not. I mean, whether you agree with it or not, they are not ready to hit that full reset button.
Well, and that leads me to my next question, Sean, talking to Sean Cunningham, sports reporter for Fox 40. If you could elaborate just a little bit on your tweet yesterday about the Kings being aggressive. If there was maybe a player's name or a type of player in particular that you are hearing the Kings are going after. I know going into the weekend, it sounded like it was playmaker and a wing. And now I'm hearing it could be, obviously they got the playmaker in Zach LaVine. Is it leaning more towards wing or center? Is there anything that you're hearing there, or maybe they don't even know yet?
Well, I think you look at the roster and there continues to be an imbalance there. You clearly have a void of defense. This is your defense is going to be, you've made strides, but you just traded a hell of a two-way player for a guy that is, I don't want to say non-existent defensively, but not nearly the player that De'Aaron Fox is defensively. And you obviously have defensive holes in your lineup. So size and athleticism continues to be a must-have for this team. So yeah, I mean, if you're reading tea leaves and I don't think you're far off. I mean, wanting size, athleticism, rim protection, but albeit somebody that can maybe stretch the floor. Physicality is just needed in the worst way. And however you get it, I don't think they're going to be able to check every box of what they need by Thursday in the trade deadline, but certainly a desire to want to add a piece like that. Maybe, start up some conversations that you had earlier in the year where you didn't have maybe the pieces that you were willing to part with at the time. I think you can kind of refresh some of those conversations today now that your roster looks a little bit different, and so does the draft capital in the cupboard. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And I think also, let's face it, the rest of the league knows that the Kings are operating in a sense of, I wouldn't say desperation, but a high desire to build to this roster, and I think people are going to, keep that in mind when they're talking to Sacramento. So they've got 2 roster spots that are available. I think that's worth noting. They've got that huge trade exception, which they've already had quite a few of them, but obviously with the Zach LaVine one coming over, that adds a much different discussion to be had with some of these teams that existed just 48 hours ago. So it'll be interesting. But again, that old saying, you could want in one hand and do whatever in the other and see what happens first. Nothing's really tangible until something happens.
Sean, real quick before we get you out of here, and thanks so much for joining us. Look, they're fighting to stay in the play-in right now. The Kings are. It's kind of a tall task, and even if they make another move, we're still out here. Oh, the Kings are desperate to what? Get to the second round? I mean, if they do that, they can build on something. Let's say they miss out on the playoffs, which is very possible from where they are right now. They still have this game against the Timberwolves, and Zach LaVine, it's been reported, will show up against the Magic. That'll be his first game. But let's say they miss out on the playoffs, right? What is their approach going in to next season? Could we see the blow up happening already, or would it be, well, we didn't get a full season with Zach LaVine, so we're going to go ahead and how much stock are they putting into this very short run that the Kings are going to have with Zach LaVine? And if they don't make the playoffs, are they just going to run it back?
I mean, those are a lot of questions. I mean, that's a lot has to happen first.
Right,
I think.
Right.
You know, I mean, not to be dismissive of the question, but I mean, this is a day-to-day operation. You see how quickly things can change in the NBA. I try to remind people that all the time. I mean, if I had told you back in, let's say, November that Mike Brown would be gone and De'Aaron Fox was on a different team, you probably wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
So realizing where you are, you know, I'd say try not to look too far ahead, because these are all, you know, people can have opinions and say, oh, they should blow it up now, or they should, like, there's jobs on the line. There's legit jobs on the line. This is an absolute business. And you know, nobody knows that more than the Sacramento Kings, who have to, you know, charge people high prices to come to watch their product. So, what's the appetite for a fan base in being as close to the play, having that one playoff series, having a play-in game under their belt, or two, you know, really two play-in games under their belt, and then all of a sudden hitting a hard reset? Would they have the appetite? Would they stomach that? You know, those are questions for another day, I think. But the way things are constituted right now, you've got to try. You've got to see, you know, what you can piece together and go out and be competitive, because, you know, this Western Conference, as tough as it is, there's a lot of, you know, you've got about 6 teams that are all kind of huddled up staring at each other, and a lot of them have made moves to get better. It's incumbent upon this franchise to go out and do the same, get to the offseason, and then you make some decisions. Because right now, throwing your hands up in the air and saying, oh, we're going to go in a different direction, it sends the wrong message to your fan base. It sends the wrong message to these players that you have under contract. And you don't, I mean, look, I think they put a lot into the small sample size of what this team looked like with De'Aaron Fox off the floor. They were able to get some of their most meaningful wins of the season in those times. You know, this Fox had been battling injury, trying to play through it, and frankly, kind of coasted for a little while. So, you know, this had been, I mean, let's face it, it's been an absolute distraction to this roster. So if you got a couple of games before the All-Star break, you have a long All-Star break. Fortunately, you don't have any, you know, players, you know, really taking part in the All-Star game.
Right.
This will get some time for much needed practice, some settle, a reset, like an escape. And, you know, you look at the remaining road ahead. I mean, I don't think it's all that inconceivable for them to go out and find a little success. Clearly, they found a little bit of, you know, inspiration under Doug Christie. Let's face it, Zach LaVine is having a hell of a season. He knows he has a familiarity with DeMar DeRozan. People can poke fun at that if they wish, but they did have a little bit of success in the early going there. And of course, them playing with Domantas Sabonis, where Malik Monk has flourished as a point guard, has probably the best 2-man game with him on the team. You can see look, this team may go out and score 130 points and lose every game because of no defense, but I think you have to go and see it through. You've got to send the right message to the fan base, this roster, and some of these players that are on the team that you went after. It's not like you're hitting a hard reset. See what it looks like, and then take it into the offseason, because those are the next moves. That would be, you know, the draft and, of course, free agency. So things are a lot more interesting, I'll tell you that.
I will tell you, and that's what I was saying. Last season was so boring, Sean. First season, now I'm thinking, well, I got what I wished for. And Sean, I will say that last answer, I mean, that was great stuff, man. We really appreciate you for hopping on as always. And you're making me believe, Sean. I'm really excited to see you on Wednesday, man. I'm going to tell you that right now. Right now. Sean Cunningham, a sports reporter for Fox 40. Sean, thank you as always.
You got it, Alan. Anytime. Talk to you later.
And speaking of seeing Sean, y'all might see me if you win those tickets, along with Zach LaVine, coming up in about 3-ish minutes. We're a little over, but we're going to give away those tickets on the other side. We'll give you that lucky number. Allen Stiles Show. We're joined by Whitey Gleason, Sacktown Sports.
Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team deal that lands Sacramento Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks. Stay up to date on SactownSports.com at 11:40 a.m.
Is your garage door stuck in the winter blues? Well, February is the perfect time to give it some love. Jason Ross here to tell you about the Overhead Door Company of Sacramento. And they're here to keep your garage door running smoothly. This February, they're spreading the love with their Sweetheart Special, $150 off a garage door with the purchase of a garage door opener. Now, the experts at Overhead Door Company of Sacramento provide fast, reliable service that's always on time and always done right. From squeaky hinges to full door replacements, they've got you covered. So don't let your garage door be the heartbreaker this season. Visit overheaddoorofsacramento.com for your free estimate. You can get in touch with them at 916-421-3747. Overhead Door Company of Sacramento, opening doors to your home and your hearts this February and all throughout the year. Overhead Door Company of Sacramento, the genuine, the original overhead door. Always look for the red ribbon logo.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the ultimate lunch lineup boasts wall-to-wall sports and scenic views. When you're hungry and in a hurry, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
With the cooler seasons upon us, Advanced Infusion Center remains focused on your health and comfort. Whether you're dealing with a chronic illness or in need of IV therapy, we provide tailored treatments to meet your unique needs. Our caring team is here to make sure your experience is safe, comfortable, and stress-free. With convenient locations in Sacramento and Yuba and flexible scheduling, you can easily access the care you deserve. Explore Advanced Infusion Therapy today. Visit advancedinfusion.com for compassionate care right where you need it.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that Black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
You turned your dating app for pets into a business, which just turned over its first billion. You turned around the fortunes of a failing football club, politely turned down a Nobel Peace Prize, and turned up on Mars in your own reusable rocket, all while struggling to turn on the dishwasher. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover business development titles on Audible.
You can finally follow through with that resolution to get into that Jeep, Ram, Dodge, or Chrysler you've always wanted at Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. It's the place where a handshake still means something, getting you the best deals in town with the best customer experience. See for yourself. They're centrally located right next to Hagen Oaks Golf Course.
Fox at the line. The ball is surrendered to him. So here we go with 1.8 remaining. On the way. This one is clean. And that should seal the deal. Here's the second one. Got them both. 49 points for Fox. The beam will be lit in just a few moments in Sacramento.
For Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
What a tribute. De'Aaron Fox free throw highlights.
That's right. That's right. All right, it is time. Some of you callers, too early, I tried to tell you, your chance to be in the building. Not like us, but it could be like us. You could be in the building, 916-339-1140. Kings Magic Wednesday, Zach LaVine's first game, 916-339-1140. Looking for caller number 3. Caller number 3 to win those tickets. 3. Caller number 3. That seems so long ago. A simpler time. Your chance to win those tickets. That's what I did when I saw the trade. Yeah. All right. So Kyle will handle that. Kyle, quickly, let's get to Prop Talk and Dog segment because we need to hear from Whitey. No clue what to do today. There's one obvious one, right? There's one obvious pick, I would say. Isn't the obvious pick points, assists, Malik Monk? Isn't that the obvious pick here?
Why is that?
With no De'Aaron, it's going to be the Malik show, I would say.
I don't even know if I believe that. I just don't know what to expect tonight. By the way, since we haven't talked about the game at all, Julius Randle's out.
Oh, but yeah, I saw. Is it the groin still?
I believe
saw when
so.
it happened. It did not look good. And by the way, I would stay away from everything tonight. I'm just saying if you have to pick something.
Anthony Edwards also questionable with
Sickness,
an illness.
Yeah.
Something going around.
Like I said, I wouldn't take this myself, but if you're asking me to take something, that's probably the direction I would go in.
I'll throw mine out here real quick for you, just because I don't believe in anything Sacramento Kings offensively. Just
Okay.
not even going to try it. Anthony Edwards is set at 30.5 points as his prop talk over-under. Guess who's starting tonight? That's Neon Keon, baby. Keon Ellis, you think he can hold Anthony Edwards to under 30 points? If not, we'll switch it to Keegan Murray mid-game.
It's a matter of volume. I mean, he's going to get him up, right?
Yeah.
With no Julius Randle.
Keon Ellis, 36 minutes, man. I think.
So say it with your chest. What are you saying?
Anthony Edwards under 30.5 points.
Wow.
Also, I think like 96% of the money is on the over tonight. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay, I'm going to, I kind of want to go with Keegan, but I'm going to stick with Malik Monk. Points and assists, 28.5. Give me the over every game. He's been under, and he went under last game. So I think he will go over in this game. Okay, let's get to our dog segment. Kyle, we're going to go quick here because we want to hear from Whitey Gleason. Tonight's dog, I will say that with his buddy now gone off the team, I'm actually going to go with Keegan Murray. I think Keegan Murray is kind of the unsung leader on this team, and with De'Aaron out, I think Keegan goes crazy tonight and shows that he can take the next step. Well, there's so much to break down on this deal with De'Aaron no longer on the team, and we'll get to it throughout the week, but I think Keegan Murray could be a part of that.
Oh, what's up, Sacramento?
Hi, Keegan.
Hi, Keegan. I love you. There's so much, going on, and today they traded their star player that I just feel like it's kind of meaningless for me to be like, who's going to have a big game today is Malik Monk or whatever. So I'm just going to go for the humor.
Taste me how to duck. Taste me how to duck.
You are who you are, Kyle, and we love that about you. All right, we have our dogs in and our prop talk. Like I said, be very careful tonight. I know the bettors say units. Wouldn't go too many units tonight with what the Kings got going on. The cloud is gone, but their best scorer is gone as well in De'Aaron Fox. So we will see what happens there. Whitey Gleason.
Hello.
I look, there's so much to get into, and I know obviously the 5 o'clock start. So you guys have a shorter show.
Yes, but I'm hanging out for game night as well tonight.
Okay, your initial thoughts, and the way I asked this, I know you were in there with Sean Cunningham. Your initial thoughts on the trade, and then once you broke everything down, your recalibrated thoughts on the trade.
It's just an underwhelming return.
Yeah.
At first glance, for many reasons, and I'm just trying to withhold judgment till we see, what else they do.
Mm-hmm.
If they end up spinning some of these pieces they got, some of the draft capital for, we know the names. If they end up doing that in the next few days, then it'll look a little different. So I'm trying to reserve judgment till then. But, at first glance, especially when 3 first-round picks, well, not really.
Right.
It's a little,
yeah. And, I don't know.
Kings just didn't have a lot of leverage.
I don't know how much this matters, but they have a game. They're making moves because they want to compete in the future, right?
I don't know.
Or excuse me, the present. So you don't necessarily have a ton of time and to waste, right? Each game matters. So to me, I'm thinking, okay, so Levine, you got to wait, you got to make the deal, and then a couple days goes by or a day or so go by until you get the player. So you make the Levine trade, he's going to be available Wednesday. obviously Thursday is the trade deadline, but it makes me feel like, is there any way they try to make a trade today so that they just can get the whole new shebang-a-bang out there on Wednesday?
No, I mean, I guess it's possible, but I was going to say no because that's all secondary to getting the best deal you can get.
Yeah.
The only way you do that is to take it right up to the deadline for the most part, although that wasn't the case, obviously, with Fox.
Right, and it's funny that that's the feeling on both sides. The sellers want to take it to the last moment in hopes that the buyers will break. The buyers want to take it to the last moment in hopes that the sellers will break. All right, thank you for listening to the Allen Stiles Show as Kyle cues in the music. Thank you to Jason Anderson, who joined us, Brendan Nunez, Jeff Garcia, Sam Smith, Sean Cunningham. Great job, Kyle, working those phone lines. Congrats to all of our winners from the Monday Mayhem. The Drive guys are up next. We wish De'Aaron the best. And you're getting back somebody electric in Zach LaVine. We'll see if that's all they get back, the Sacramento Kings, as we lead you up to the trade deadline. And, of course, we got you after the trade deadline as well. Jay Johnson, Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper take you up to game night. And Whitey has you for game night as well. Until tomorrow, for the first time without De'Aaron Fox, secure the bag. Like to be. Okay.
Gotta go. Breaking Sacramento Kings news. De'Aaron Fox has reportedly been traded to the San Antonio Spurs.